Greetings, everyone, and welcome to an insert we need a bigger something joke here edition of Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Monster Party.
Monster Party. Monster Party. Dun-dun. Monster Party. Dun-dun.
Swimming in the
Yeah. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the computer or something, it's Monster Party. Yeah, we're doing it.
We're doing it.
That's Larry doing John Williams Foley right now.
Yes, yes. Well, speaking of Foley,
Speaking of Foley, because you guys know my other job, Foley.
Yeah, well, you got to pay somehow.
Yes, that's right. I am Matt Weinhold.
I am SHAWN SHERIDAN.
I'm Larry Strothe.
And I'm James GONIS.
And for this episode, ooh, my me, this is one that we, again, should have done a long time ago.
Yes.
But it's good that we saved it because there's a big anniversary revolving around it. And I think that we have some special treats for you in store.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And so the title for this episode is Jaws, 50 Years of Frights and Bites.
Jaws, 50
Dun,
years
dun,
of fright and
dun.
bites.
Frights and bites. See, you get frightened and then it bites you. Or you can get bit and then you're scared because, like, oh, is it going to bite me again? Lots of layers to this. So,
Yes.
But Matt, this
Yes,
is
Larry.
such a huge topic about
it is.
big shark. How can we possibly do this? We need a great guest who knows about sharks and Jaws.
You are correct. And Sean, I think that you have found for us the perfect guest.
I think I have, Matt. Our guest is an author, actor, publicist, journalist, and a respected authority on the horror and sci-fi genres. As an actor, he's appeared in several episodes of Star Trek Voyager, a couple of the Flintstones movies, many, many commercials. He appeared in Lavalantua, which was directed by Mike Mendez, who's been on our show.
The best.
As a writer and journalist, he's written for Starlog magazine, Fangoria, Star Trek magazine. He's been a moderator and panelist at many conventions like Monsterpalooza and Comic-Con. And he's also an author who has written many guidebooks, essential guidebooks to various TV shows and films, such as You Wouldn't Like Me When I'm Angry, a Hulk companion, The Greatest American Hero companion, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, a TV companion, and very appropriately for this episode, Just When You Thought It Was Safe, a Jaws companion.
Oh.
Please welcome Pat Jankiewicz.
Pat. Welcome.
Thanks, boys. It's an honor to be here.
Oh,
It's an honor to have you. Yes,
Great
yes,
to have you.
absolutely. Pat, I've known you for quite a while, and your books are great. And what I love about your research and your books, especially, including the Jaws book, is that you take deep dives into the subject, and you get interviews with people and crew members that people normally wouldn't think of getting. You really cover a lot of interesting ground.
I kind of if you're going to do the subject, you got to do it. And if you talk to everybody connected, everybody has a story. And I realized pretty quickly with Jaws, if I wanted to get the entire story, I had to go to Martha's Vineyard. And
Right.
most of my interviews, you won't believe this, but most of my interviews on the island were conducted in the city hall where Brody unsuccessfully tries to shut down the beaches.
Wow.
I interviewed Lee
Edgartown.
Fierro. I interviewed one of my favorite guests. There was one of my favorite people on the island was a beloved school teacher named Kathy Weiss. And she was the very last person I interviewed before I was heading to catch my boat to Woods Hole to leave after I did 47 interviews in 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
Kathy was a beloved teacher, and she was an extra in the movie. And her daughter were the Swedish poster for the movie, where the mother and daughter, the famous frame of a mother. It's on the back of the Jaws log. It's a mother and daughter running out of the surf. that was her 3-year-old daughter.
No.
And Spielberg walked up to her on the set and he goes, I'll give you $100 to drop your kid in over her head. And then you scream, my baby, and fish her out. And she said she was, as a Jewish mother, she was beyond offended. And she started scolding Spielberg in front of the crew.
Wow.
How dare you? How dare you ask me as a Jewish mother to drop my baby in the water? And I said, what did Steven Spielberg do? And she goes, he took it. He has a Jewish mother.
Wow.
I thought he might up the price.
Yeah.
Right.
Actually, she said he took it up to 300 before she started yelling at him.
Oh my God.
And she goes, how dare you? How dare you? And he took it, which is kind of hilarious. And then she was really mad when she saw the movie because she said he got another mother to drop her baby in the water over her head.
Oh my
She
God.
said
Go,
you can
Biz.
see it. You can see it during the fake attack in the beach.
Oh my
you know?
gosh. That's classic.
And I love the book. Even though the Jaws log by Carl Gottlieb was kind of the Bible and one of the first books about the making of a big movie, since then, there have been so many documentaries about Jaws. And one of the things that your book does is it does address all these other locals from Martha's Vineyard who were in the movie and are a big part of the experience.
Oh, yeah.
So, and, now in the most current documentary, Jaws at 50, several of those people are interviewed. And unfortunately, several of them are not with us anymore. And I'm jealous that you got to meet and interview Lee Fierro, who was Mrs. Kidner.
Really
Yeah.
sweet lady.
Did
Yeah,
you?
I got her and her son together. But go on, I'm sorry.
Wait, he's alive?
Alex Kidner is alive. He lives on the island.
Jeffrey
You were
Voorhees.
saying, I'm sorry.
Jeffrey Voorhees. Now,
Yes.
now, did you ask her to slap you?
No, but she was mad. She said every tourist who saw her on the island would ask her to slap her.
You're
And that,
kidding.
that, honest to God, never even occurred to me. I mean, she was such a sweet lady. Her stories were so good. I mean, when you realize this was a major Hollywood movie, and the moral turn of the movie is Brody is a coward and a klutz until that part. And when he sees the mother's very real pain, that turns him around. That's when he realizes he has to stand up to the powers that be, to Vaughn, to the board. And what's so fascinating is they trusted all that on a local hire.
Yeah.
Lee
Really.
Fiora she was running a little theater group on the island. She helped them get half the kids with speaking parts in the movie and everything else.
Wow.
And Jeffrey Voorhees, who plays Deputy Hendricks, his mom started bullying them to give him a part in the movie.
Oh, wow.
She
Moms
goes,
are great.
Jeffrey, honey, they're making a movie here. And he goes, I have to say, the biggest acting gig in my career, and my mother helped me get it.
Wow.
Oh,
You're
wow.
right, though. That slap is like a pivotal moment plot-wise in the script. I mean, and in Brody's character, it's true.
But it's
And
a powerful,
it's
powerful
iconic.
scene.
Yeah. And it took a
Powerful
lot of takes too, as far as I know.
Did it?
Yeah, well, she said he complained about his neck at a certain point because she slapped him so much. It was a stage slap, but she said there's 3 takes where she knocked his glasses off. Yeah,
Wow.
Wow.
Gosh, yeah. But you're right, though. Part of what makes Jaws so great is that real documentary feel and using locals and using the real, location,
Yeah.
actually
it.
shooting on the water, all that,
Yeah.
it makes such a huge impact.
We could take it for granted now, but it had never been done that way before.
Never. And then William Friedkin was also one of the new radical filmmakers with Spielberg. He would do that sort of thing on The Exorcist, where he would get a real Spinal Tap doctor to come in. He would get a real X-ray tech. He had real priests in the movie. They were going for verisimilitude.
Right.
And what's interesting with the movie is like the weird stuff you don't notice. I interviewed, I'm sure you guys know her, she's gone now, but a really sweet lady, June Foray, the voice of Rocky the Flying Squirrel,
Yes.
with Natasha. And I was interviewing her about her voiceover career, and I realized I caught Jaws on TNT or something a couple days earlier. And I suddenly realized June did the voice of Mike Brody for one scene. And she got so excited I knew that. And she said when she was talking to Spielberg, he would make her do, when she did the ADR on it, he made her do her voices of talking Tina from the Twilight Zone.
Nice.
No.
If you want to hear June Foray, she gets no ADR on it. But if you want to hear June Foray, listen to the movie. And there was a pivotal, Mike Brody's big line is a pivotal line to set up a joke where he says can you put it in the pond? And you'll hear June Foray go, the pond's for old ladies. And he goes, well, do it for the old man, will you? Before that, the kid has a thick Boston accent. Before and after that scene, for that one line, it's June Foray, and she confirmed it and talked about doing Talkie Tina.
So
that only appeared in my book.
Was it just so that was probably just like the audio just wasn't good for that moment. They couldn't get the kid back, so they got her to do it.
No, I think it was because the kid had a thick. The Brody family is supposed to be from New York. That's a big thing. When he almost gets eaten, he goes, take him home. And she looks at him and goes, home to New York?
The cat.
And he goes, home here. That's when he's decided he's going to get the GD shark. And June, because the Ponds for Old Ladies is such a great setup line to his self-depreciating, do it for the old man, will ya? You know?
Right.
So they needed that joke, and the kid has kind of a thick Boston accent, even though the movie establishes they're New York. You know, hey Ma, I got bit by a vampire. You know,
yeah, that's right. That's right.
He doesn't sound like her and Brody.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
a deep dive for you.
yeah.
He sounds like the mailman.
yeah, he does. He sounds very Boston proud. You know what I mean?
So, Pat, you say in the intro that Jaws is your favorite film. Was this a book that was like a dream of yours to get done?
Yeah, the wild thing about it was I was getting annoyed whenever there was articles on Spielberg. There would be Steven Spielberg finally turned to horror with Jurassic Park. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
And Jaws was one of the 5 most run movies on basic cable. And they would have entire marathons on the 4th of July on the BBC. On BBC usually has a marathon on Boxing Day, December 26th, because that was the day it opened in England. But on the 4th of July, TNT, Sci-Fi Channel, AMC would have Jaws marathons. And even though it was like at the time, it was one of the 5 most run movies with like Top Gun, and I forgot what the others were. But it was one of those movies that was always on, but nobody appreciated it. And that kind of drove me insane because it's always on, but oh my God, Steven turned to horror with Jurassic Park. And it was getting me madder and madder because as much as I love Jurassic Park, it doesn't hold a candle to Jaws.
No, I agree. I mean, Jaws it's rare that you say, a certain movie is a perfect film. Mm-hmm. Jaws is a perfect film. And it's equal to me, it's equal horror film and adventure film. Like when they're out in the boat chasing that shark, it's exhilarating adventure as well as white knuckle horror. It's both.
Yeah. Steven Spielberg himself considers it an adventure film. He sees The Sea Hunt as the movie, but Tarantino will tell you to your face. And I heard him say this to us in the new Beverly popcorn line. He said Jaws is the greatest American movie ever made, and he's right. And I think what it is because Spielberg himself is the greatest moment of my life, which I was not there for. I interviewed James Cameron, and James Cameron, he was such a great interview. I gave him a copy of my book. And then as luck would have it, I wound up interviewing him again about 6 months later. And James Cameron says to me, hey, guess where your book was? And that's really exciting coming from him. It could be on the Titanic or whatever. I go, where was my book? And he goes, I took your book to breakfast. And I go, really? And he goes, and then he watches my puzzlement and he goes, I took your book to breakfast with Steven. Now I don't have to ask Steven who.
Wow.
Before Universal, you'll love this. Before Universal re-released Jaws a couple years back in 3D, Cameron went to them after Avatar, and after Avatar hit home video, home Blu-ray and all that. Cameron went to Spielberg to get his blessing. He wanted to ask Universal if it could use Avatar 3D and make a 3D print of Jaws. This is how good this guy is. He was 7 years ahead of them doing it.
Huh.
Wow.
And yet he wanted to put it in the 3D. And I go, did you show him the book? And James Cameron goes, I slid it to him and I said, look what I got at the Beverly Hills Hotel, at breakfast at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And he said he picked up my book and he started flipping. Cameron watched how he was doing it. He was flipping through it from the back. And he didn't mind Jaws 4. He didn't mind Jaws 3D. He didn't mind Jaws 2. Once he got to the Jaws section, Cameron told me he dropped it on the table like it burned his fingers.
Wow.
No.
Really?
And he said, he goes, how dare you treat Jaws like that? Everything that has happened to you came because of Jaws. And he looked at him and he goes, I would never disrespect Terminator in such a way. And he did a Spielberg invitation. He goes, that movie tried to kill me.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what it still kind of astounds me that young director Steven Spielberg, that he pulled it off. And I get the impression, I mean, Pat, you would know this better than me, but like he could have easily been removed from that film, right?
It was a very real danger. They fired John Hancock, the director of Jaws 2. And
Right.
his version of Jaws 2 would have been darker and more interesting than the one they made.
Right.
What happened is at a certain point, Bill Butler told me this story, who made it to 101 or just before his 102nd birthday before he passed.
Wow.
Bill Butler was the DP. He also shot all the Rocky sequels. He shot a little movie called Grease. He get this. He started out in Count Yorga, but he was the fill-in DP. The DP on Godfather had something to do, and the only DP he trusted to take his place for the hospital scene was Bill Butler, who came in and shot the whole scene of Michael making the baker look scary in the beginning. And remember when Michael pulls up his car and throws out the flowers?
Mm-hmm. Great
and
scene.
When they moved the Dawn and the nurse, that was Bill Butler.
Wow.
Because he'd done so much stuff. He said he and Spielberg, this is from Bill Butler, he and Spielberg were sitting out in the boat watching the shark not work. And he goes, it was just them while they're setting up another terrible demonstration of the shark. And he looked at him and he goes, so what do you think? And he looked at him and he goes, we both worked for Universal. The rule at Universal was Universal Pictures aren't late. If you're a day late, they remind you of this fact. They send somebody over to tell you Universal movies are not late. He said, if it's 2 days late, there's someone else sitting in your chair for the rest of production.
Wow.
He looked at him and he goes, Stephen, we are 9 days later. I don't think you have anything to worry about. The footage must have appeased them. I think one of the things he did that was really smart was casting Lorraine Gary as Ellen Brody. Not only is she great in the movie, she was the head of the studio, head of production, Sid Sheinberg's wife. So at the same time, nobody wants to see it fail with her wife in it.
Oh,
true.
Interesting.
And Sheinberg was kind of a mentor to Spielberg, wasn't he?
He was. And I think that he had a vested interest in pulling this off. And because Sid Sheinberg backed him on this play, I think that's one reason why Spielberg was very loyal to Universal for much of his career.
Considering that this is not something that you could really know when you're filming the movie, but later after we saw the final result, the way everything came down where the shark wasn't working, so that actually worked in their favor. And made this more of a taut thriller because the shark was hinted at, and then you gradually got the reveal. The thing that I think that makes Jaws this wonderful and like Sean was saying, one of the few perfect films is that you had all these different factors coming into play. You had the shark not working. You had this, young director who was really eager to show what he could do. And all these factors came together, the music. And it's one of those things that is like lightning in a bottle. And if you take one of those factors away, it would have been a different movie. In fact, Spielberg himself has said that if he was to do that movie now and use CGI, it wouldn't have been the same. And
you look at the charcoal.
Me.
Yeah, you look at the charcoal storyboards that Joe Alves was doing. They were going to show the shark when Chrissy got eaten, and I mean,
wow, yeah,
at the very beginning.
Yeah,
they would have given the game away. By the shark not working, he went with that Creature from the Black Lagoon opening, where you see where the camera is the creature,
Right.
and. What's funny is I knew Julie Adams. She was the mom to a friend of mine. And so the great thing is when she saw the movie, she started giggling because she immediately recognized they were doing she said it was terrifying what they did with the creature camera shot. She goes, I was so glad there was not a shark under me in the 50s because I would have been torn apart. But Spielberg had this gift of pop culture where he could He just throws away that opening shot of her from being shot from under the ocean floor upwards. It's the classic Creature from the Black Lagoon shot. And the shot of Chrissy, if you watch the shot of Chrissy holding on to the boy, that's Laurie Nelson being abducted outside the lobster house in Revenge of the Creature.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, it's amazing because you're right, Pat, but thank God it didn't work in a way, because if you watch the movie again, just paying attention to the visuals of the shark, you can see how it perfectly builds. It's first just a point of view, then it's a fin, then it's like just under the water you see it until that final moment with the chum, and then you see the fin. Like, because really, the last 20 minutes of the movie, you do see the shark a good amount, but it works because it's built up. If you saw that much of it early on, it wouldn't have been as effective.
Basically, he gets 4 minutes of screen time. 4 minutes. You'll see bits and pieces of him, but you only get 4 minutes of the actual shark in the movie.
Wow.
Yeah. And Carl Gottlieb told me he and Steven Spielberg were big fans of Howard Hawks' The Thing, and they actually screened it before they did the movie. And when you look at the movie, when you look at The Thing, you can see a lot of Jaws. They talk about The Thing. They're terrified of the thing. You'll see the thing kind of blurred out in a couple scenes, but a lot of the Howard Hawks' The Thing are people going in and out of doorways. And when you see you watch it in Svengoolie, and it's people talking about the thing going in and out of doorways, And then suddenly when they open a door, the thing is standing there and smashes the door jam right above the guys, and you jump out of your seat. And with Jaws, after every attack and every big scene, Spielberg cuts through placid water. He does this shot all through. The water is calm again. You're safe. And he does this shot repeatedly throughout the movie. So to the very end of the movie, when he shows the water is placid, and then suddenly the shark comes out of it at the Brody and at the chief on the gin pole, you jump out of your seats because this shot has been used to placate you that the monster's gone. And when he comes erupting from that at the ending, it's one of the biggest jumps in the movie.
And it goes beyond the shark then. So what he does is he makes water itself the monster.
Yeah.
Right.
They couldn't get it to work in one place. So by hiding it, they make the shark the entire ocean.
Yeah.
And another brilliant thing he does, and we've got it. This is before people would see movies obsessively. This and Star Wars were the movies that started people seeing movies obsessively. The kids standing in line again and again. And when you watch the movie, he's timed and toned this movie for repeat viewings. When the little boy says, I got bit by a vampire, when he cut himself in the swing, she washes the blood off his hand, and then he announced he's going to swim to the jetty. He's about to go in to swim with him, and when you see it a second or third time, it's like, good God, don't do that.
Right.
So he was planning on you guys seeing, on all of us seeing it again and again. I'm convinced of it.
And every time you see it, you realize something new. Like the last time I saw it, just a few weeks ago, I appreciated more than ever before the silent moments where if the whole thing was a cacophony and if the music and all the sound effects, if everything was at this high pitch, it would never have worked as well. But there are so many beautiful, quiet moments, like even in the first scene of Kirsty's death, where it ends with just the buoy bell ringing.
Yep.
You know, and there's so many moments like
Literally
that in the movie.
tolling for her, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Or you know, the slow zoom when Brody's looking out to the sea from, you know, under the jetty. And Verna Fields, that's another, you know, part of the whole lightning in a bottle, incredibly talented editor. And
Yes.
as much as has been said about how the film came together better because the shark didn't work, knowing her instincts, knowing Spielberg's instincts, having made Duel, where you never see the truck driver's face, really.
Yes.
It's not hitting you over the head. I still wonder if, even if the shark had worked better, if the final product would have shown it that much more. We'll never know.
Are you saying that maybe that he would have maybe cut it down?
That's what I want to believe, because his instincts were that good, and Verna Fields' instincts, the editor, were also that good.
Well, I was told by like Kevin Pike and those guys, basically whatever take the shark worked was what they had to go with. You know what I mean? 'Cause a lot of times he wasn't cooperating. And I mean, when you look, I interviewed Roy Arbogast, who was the guy who helped Bob Matty in the day-to-day. And Roy lives over by the Disney Ranch in Antelope Valley. And Roy showed me Bob Matty had built these old alligators or crocodiles for the old Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan movies, which were shot. And one of them, he turned it on, and the damn thing from the 30s, early 30s, still worked.
Wow.
And I think the thing is, none of the studio effects guys would vouch for building the shark. None of them would build. That's why they had to pull. When Spielberg finally, they were putting their heads together, and they realized Spielberg was talking about the scariest thing he'd ever seen, which was the squid in Captain Nemo. And they found Bob Matty, who just recently retired after doing the Herbie movies and everything else for Disney. He said, "Get me the guy who built the squid." And sure enough, he was the only guy who could do it.
Wow.
And by the way, poor Bob Matty never won an Oscar for the original Jaws. They gave it to Hindenburg with Michael York because it was a studio effects shop.
Oh, wow. Jeez.
Talk about a screw job, you guys, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it just goes to show you what the Oscar nominations are really worth good
Thank you.
for.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much.
Speaking of which, in The Shark is Still Working, the previous Jaws documentary, which is also excellent, there's footage of Spielberg watching the Oscar nominees being announced on TV.
Biggest mistake of his life. Biggest mistake of his life is he invited the film crew over to watch his face. But what that did, it's on YouTube. It's painful to watch. What I think it did is it gave him humility. And by the way, I'm in the theatrical of The Shark is Still Working, not the version they put in theater.
Oh, really?
The theatrical version's longer and better. And I would argue I had the best line, which they cut, which is they filmed me in Martha's Vineyard, and my comment to them on camera is, "Isn't it exciting to see Amity without the TBS logo in the corner of the screen?"
But my big takeaway from that moment, though, is that he's sitting next to Joe Spinell when they're watching it.
Really?
I know back then, like, all these incredibly talented people all knew each other, but the fact that Spinell was Spielberg's buddy back then,
that's
and
hilarious.
he's more outraged than Stephen. He's like,
yes, he is.
Who made the picture? Who's kidding who around here?
So by the way, he's totally right. One of the great things about Spinell, and I've never interviewed Spinell, but I interviewed a lot of actors who knew Joe Spinell, all these old guys. And they loved him. And they said, Joe Spinell, because he was doing Godfather and all these other bigger movies, he would help friends with their rent. He would help you out. If you needed a gig, he would find a way to get you a gig.
Wow.
So he was always that guy. I mean, he tragically died, you know, but the thing with him was he helped Stallone. That's one reason I think he's in Rocky. I think he helped Stallone at one point.
He did.
And so Stallone should put him in the movie. I mean, one of the other great things about Rocky, this is not related to Joe Spinell, Lloyd Kaufman plays himself as Lloyd. He's the little bum sleeping outside of the bar. Rocky picks him
Wow.
up out of
Oh
the
my
cold and
God,
says,
that's right.
"Come with me, Lloyd," because he was the UPM on Rocky.
Wow. Wow. Well,
Wow.
speaking of casting, though, I want to obviously, I know this has been said many times, but you have that three character dynamic of Brody, Hooper, and Quint, which none of the sequels have ever come close to capturing again. I mean, that those three together,
Which is
from what I
some of their
understand,
major problems, by the way.
yeah,
And by the
but
way, it's like you guys said, though. If you remove one of those elements, Jaws wouldn't be what it was.
right.
And they removed it. They removed Bill Butler is not there, and
Right.
Spielberg is not there. Bill Butler was the one who built the underwater camera, so he could get everyone at water. He wanted everyone at water length with the bobbing legs and everything else.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
And he suggested that, and that's one of the amazing shots in the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And like Spielberg wanted him to do it, but every movie up until then was like The Old Man in the Sea with Spencer Tracy, where they had this giant gimbal, and he's sitting in front of a projector screen pretending to be catching a swordfish and fighting off sharks.
Right.
Yeah.
So
right.
the thing with that movie, he didn't want to do that. Spielberg wanted to actually be in the water. Well, it's like the old adage, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
And when Bill Butler asked them for a raise, because it was the #1 movie of all time, he said they tried to pay him just a little bit more, the same that they offered in the original film. And he goes, "We went through hell on the original film, and they're saying, let's get you back on the ocean and do it again."
Yeah.
And so with Jaws 2, Arbogast, and I think I want to make sure I don't misquote this, Arbogast and Joe Alves were getting ready to do they're getting ready to do 1941, but they both jumped in to help Bob Matty on Jaws too. And they said they angered Spielberg, but he goes, without Spielberg, all the problems were even worse, and
I'm sure.
Kevin Pike and Joe Alves shot a lot of the shark attacks. I think they told me, I'm quoting this right from my book, they shot in like a lake because there was no way you're going to get a water skier on the ocean. She'd break her back.
Right. True. Now, Sean, you had mentioned the casting.
Yeah.
And the story of how these actors were cast is also interesting because they were not often the original choices.
Right.
Famously, Lee Marvin
Wow.
and
As who?
As Quint?
Quint and
I can
Sterling
see-
Hayden.
Really?
And Sterling Hayden were
I could
considered
see
as
could have seen either of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either of them I
John
think would have
Heston
been
wanted
great.
to play Brody.
He really wanted to play Brody, but Spielberg was like, "No, I mean the shark wouldn't have a chance if you had Moses up there,
No.
against him.
Exactly. No, I
You
agree.
needed somebody more
No,
vulnerable."
it's too much.
Yeah.
And for Hooper, they were
Eddie Deason.
Jan Michael
Yeah. I wanted Jan Michael Vincent, who actually looks like the character in the book.
Huh.
Are you
Oh.
serious?
Oh yeah,
And they
he's
were
like a
talking
6-foot blonde. He's like a faddish 6-foot blonde guy in the book.
And they were talking
No.
about John Voight, Timothy Bottoms, Jeff Bridges. But speaking of the book, if we can talk about the book for a second.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, how
This-
close is it?
No. The book is not good. It's not a good.
Really?
The really, really remarkable thing about Jaws is that it's an adaptation of a book that's maybe, 100 times better than the book. Just by comparison, the book suffers so much. There's no humor in it, really.
But I'm going to say this. I want to stick up for Benchley a little bit here. And he deserves it. The shark attack scenes are terrifying in the book.
Yes.
In the book, the opening attack on Chrissy, she puts her hand down to feel what's bitten her leg, and then she feels a wave of nausea because she's putting her leg is gone below the knee, and she just stuck her fingers into a raw nerve. That's horrible.
Wow. That's
Wow.
good. That is good. But
You know,
now,
and she-
James, also, isn't Hooper banging Brody's wife or something?
Yeah,
Right.
He's cuckolding. He's exactly right. He's cuckolding. She dated his big brother. This is even weirder, perverse sex type thing. She dated his big brother before she married Brody. Brody is a balding schmuck who grew up on the island, who became the police chief just for attrition. It wasn't anything glamorous about it.
Wow.
He literally, and he pulls her frat boy date over for drunk driving and has to drive her home. And they start dating. She mostly dates him out of pity. and it becomes a pity marriage on the island. And summer is always embarrassing to her because all she does is think about her summer friends with her and this blue-collar police chief.
Yeah, and
Wow.
she misses her history, her past life as a New York socialite, and now she feels that she's very restless on the island, and that's why she has the affair with Hooper. And then,
so wait a minute. So Brody could have been played by Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, Brody sort of, yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
shark. The shark.
I'm not sure Lorraine Gary would agree to a love scene with Donald.
Yeah, true, right.
No, and then Brody spends most of the rest of the novel like brooding over whether or not he should confront Hooper about it. And
Right.
you don't really have the same kind of momentum. They don't go out on the Orca for a long stretch. They come back every night.
Every night they come back home.
There's none of that kind of momentum. And, okay, spoiler, Hooper dies by being eaten from the cage. Quint dies. Quint dies a far less interesting death because
Quint's death is terrible.
His foot gets tangled in a rope, and he gets dragged
the harpoon
down.
he threw in the shark, which is right out of Melville's Moby Dick.
That's Moby
so
Dick.
He drowns. He drowns, and him and the shark are tied to you. You're right. A lot of it doesn't. A lot of the book, when you're out of the water, a lot of the book ages badly. There's a part where Hooper is trying to cover up that he's doinking Brody's wife, and so he says he's with Daisy Wicker. Well, Daisy Wicker is the island lesbian, and there's big debates over whether or not Hooper.
Right.
Brody demands to know Hooper is good enough to F a lesbian.
Right. And then plus there's all this stuff about the mafia, because The Godfather was such a big bestseller that Benchley worked in all this stuff about local amity, organized crime, and the economy.
Wow.
And politics.
Oh my gosh.
You're bringing up one of the big whether you know it or not, good sir, you're bringing up one of the controversies. And this went on when Benchley died, and this went on when the publisher died. Congdon, the editor, went to meet with him to see if he had a book in him, and he said it was not a promising meeting. He took him to a secondhand restaurant because he was just a National Geographic Newsweek writer at the time, and he was broke. And when they were going through the meeting, nothing was going well. And then towards the end of the meeting, he asked Benchley everything Benchley pitched him. He nixed, and then he asked him, "Do you have anything else?" And he goes, "Well, I have this story about a giant shark marauding a beach community, which creates a crisis of conscience on the part of the sheriff and the island." So it was basically Moby Dick meets Enemy of the People. And the guy said that sounded promising, and he had him send the first 2 chapters. And Congdon, the editor, nixed all this stuff. He said it was all on land, it was all jokes. But he said the first 7 pages, which is what he sent around, was the shark attack. Chrissy has sex before they go in the water and this, and that becomes a speculation later on whether or not during her autopsy, whether or not she was menstruating. And they also find out that her breast, one of the more grotesque details of the book, her breast is deflated because it was bitten by the shark so hard. The shark attack scenes are much gorier than the movie.
Right.
And terrifying. And they basically say
his descriptions are, he's masterful when he goes into that. And the first the first few pages will hook you, but then the other 200 but the ending, the climax,
totally right, you guys. He's totally right.
The ending, right? In the novel, again, spoiler, there is no explosion. The shark, it's Brody's hanging on for his life. The shark just stops. It just
dies of natural causes. It is
what?
Stops and sinks.
It's
That's
the big ending of the shark coming right on. He's right. Brody's on the sinking shin pole. The shark comes at him. So Brody, instead of saying "Smile, you son of a bitch," closes his eyes and screams. And then when nothing happens, he opens his eyes and sees himself face to maw with the shark. And it's died of natural causes and is slowly sinking into the water with Quint's corpse tied to it by the harpoon
Right.
that Quint threw
You're
into it.
kidding.
I had to read. I had to read
You are
that 5
kidding
times because
me.
I'm like, what just happened?
So,
What is this?
so it's like a Monty Python sketch. Ooh, my heart.
So
You just
wait,
don't-
guys,
There's
you're
no
telling me-
catharsis.
So
Yeah,
how
no,
did
yeah.
they get
And
from all
eventually-
this? How do they get from this book to this
Well,
brilliant movie?
that's the genius and the artfulness of filmmakers to make take a
Well-
source novel, make it into it's because a big difference
Make it
between
work.
a book and a movie.
Well, Barwood and Robbins, Hal Barwood and Matthew Robbins, who had worked with Spielberg on the Sugarland Express.
I hate those
They-
guys. I think they're the worst writers he's ever worked with. You know,
Well, but they
Hal
suggested
Barwood and Matthew Robbins.
they suggested the tank explode. They suggested
Yeah.
an explosion. It's like, however you're going to do it, do it. And
And yeah, I mean
It
anything.
sounds
Explosion.
very Hollywood, though. It's like,
Yeah,
No,
well, yeah.
what if
yeah.
we ended with an explosion?
But it
But
makes
it's a-
sense.
it's a
Remember, Spielberg
catharsis.
was told by Benchley a shark would not explode like an oil refinery if you blew up an air tank. And he told Benchley, if I have them for this long, I will have them for the last 6 minutes.
Yes.
He was right.
You can
all
take
bought
yeah. Of course,
And-
for a
Yeah.
movie, it works fine.
And as a kid watching that,
Uh.
to me, everything that all seemed logical.
It's
I
cathartic.
bought it. Hook,
But
line,
and
sinker.
also on the subject of the tank and Brody shooting it, I want to just mention this. There's a YouTuber named Dan Morell who I like. He's a critic. He talks about box office, but one of his favorite movies
Oh, I
is
love
Jaws.
that. Yeah.
He's got a 20-minute video on YouTube called Why I Love Jaws. And I've read a lot of books on Jaws that pointed out things like the significance of the color yellow. But he pointed out something I never thought of before, in that when Hooper brings out the tank, Quint belittles him. Right?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
Quint is shooting at the shark with his rifle, Hooper's like, "Don't waste your time, Quint." But at the very end, Brody uses Quint's rifle to shoot Hooper's tank. And
Excuse me,
emerges
but
out.
that's in my book first. That was in my book
Ah.
first.
Kudos. Kudos.
Hooper has fled and Brody has died. That is in my book, which originally came out in 2009. That is in my book first.
So Dan Morell got it from
Who
you.
I love, but yeah, it's in my book first.
But it's true.
Nice.
It's like
Very
a
good.
perfect synergy of those three characters and how they play off each other and how it's so great.
Is it true, guys, that we had talked about the actors, the brilliance of Robert Shaw? I understand that, he was drinking and stuff, but there's this story of how he ad-libbed this story of the Indianapolis. Is that true?
John Milius actually came up with John Milius. Spielberg asked John. It was originally put into the first mention of it because the Quint has no backstory in the book. If you read the book, Quint is bald as an egg, angry guy. His only name is Quint. When Brody looks him up in the Amity phone book, it's only Q for Quint, no first or last name. He doesn't know. That's why Universal's been putting out Brody and Quint toys, calling him Sam Quint. Benchley, the creator, never called him Sam Quint, and they never called him Sam Quint in the book. There's no, when it says Quint, when you see it in 3D, Quint is wearing his military coat. You can see it in the cleaned up version. He's Navy, but he's wearing an Army jacket, but it never says S. Quint or anything. It just says Quint. And Quint has no backstory. He just hunts. And by the way, to make Quint less likable, you were mentioning Brody's wife being doinked by Hooper. To make Quint less likable than Hooper in the book, Quint is using baby porpoises as bait.
Yeah.
Putting hooks in the
no.
baby porpoises and throwing them to the shark.
No, there's a lot of animal cruelty in the book too. The mafia kills
Casual.
Brody's cat.
Really?
Turns the cat's
Okay,
head all the way
I'm
around.
not reading this then.
No.
Well, I would recommend. It's a great read. It's a summer read. And my argument with the book, and you're right, everything you're saying about the book is right, but the shark attack scenes are endlessly terrifying. And you got to give him credit. He's the guy who came up with Brody, Amity, Hooper, Quint.
Yeah.
All the whole
Yeah.
situation, the shark, that's all Peter Benchley.
Right.
And to his credit, the shark is terrifying in the book. The shark is much gorier in the book. The shark in the book is described by somebody as, when it's tearing, Hendricks, I think, 30 minutes after he eats the Kittner boy, it eats Morris Cater, this senior citizen jeweler from New York, in the surf. And Hendricks describes the thing as being the size of a station wagon, which is kind of terrifying. A 70s station wagon is eating people at the beach, basically. You know,
Wood paneling.
would have naturally a total Brady Bunch rig.
But
But getting back to the brilliance of Robert Shaw, Milius had dropped the idea of the Indianapolis, but it was Robert Shaw who added those little details that makes it such a haunting story. And what about the singing thing when they're doing the little singing?
That's all Gottlieb. Gottlieb came up. We got to give well, you know, we haven't said much about him, but most of the credit on the movie for writing it has to go to Carl Gottlieb. He was writing this thing when Spielberg. He and Spielberg shared a cabin. Carl Gottlieb, who I'm going to be on a panel with discussing Jaws at 50 at the LA Comic Con, by the way.
Oh, nice.
And,
Wow.
You know, so Carl Gottlieb, God love him, he's still with us. Carl Gottlieb came up with the day-to-day. He was the story editor who took a break from The Odd Couple with Jack Klugman and Tony
Curtis.
Yeah, thank you.
Tony Curtis.
So he went.
Different
He took a break from the show to write Jaws.
Oh my gosh.
What he wanted, and a lot of his material, he did a lot of writing for Hooper. You know, you read the book. Hooper is not a very sympathetic character in the book. He literally reads like he's from the bad frat in Animal House in the book. And he's very smug. And at one part, he kind of jibes Brody. He starts to jibe Brody about sleeping with his wife. And then Brody almost chokes him to death while Quint watches on deck.
Jeez.
Yeah, the book, what happened, I wanted to finish this thought, you know, because Gottlieb added a lot of the lightheartedness, a lot of the jovial, these three friends who care about each other. That came from the daily writing. Gottlieb is the one who recommended Richard Dreyfuss. He knew Richard Dreyfuss from the committee and acting group they were in together. And the first joke he wrote with Spielberg was for Dreyfuss, where Quint crushes the beer can, and so he crushes the styrofoam cup. So Carl Gottlieb cannot get enough credit for his work on this.
Yeah.
But Congdon, I'm going to screw up on his name. It might have been Henry Congdon. But the Congdon who helped Benchley shape the book, the rumor in the publishing world is Congdon kept adding commercial elements for Benchley to deal with. You read the book and you can tell Benchley's love is the shark. And, you know, all the seafaring stuff is great. All that is great. The shark attacking the swimmers is terrifying. But all the other elements, you can see they claimed it was just as much from the editor as it was from Benchley. Now, Benchley and his wife Wendy denied that, and Congdon denied it. But like you said, there's so many commercial elements from hit books at the time. The mafia shows up, which, you know, it made sense. Vaughn is in a company called Vaughn and something. And Brody finds out from Meadows, the newspaper man that Carl Gottlieb played in the movie. Meadows finds out about halfway through the book that Larry, because the island hasn't been doing well during the shark attacks, the mafia, Mrs. Vaughn, is sick. And so Larry is in total hawk up to here with the mafia. So the mob has been quietly coming onto the island and buying it up. So, yeah, they turned the cat's head all the way around.
How weird. Yeah, seems like unnecessary
Brody's
elements.
son watches this happen, you know?
Yeah, I'm glad the mafia stuff's not in the movie. You know,
It's too much. It's
like
adds another factor that's not needed at all.
They like that element enough that Jaws 2 cast that the guy who was playing the mafiosi on Days of Our Lives. They cast him as a real estate guy who seems vaguely mafia, but they never say mafia. He's supposed to be a romantic rival, but it's also a callback to. But one of the scenes in the book is Brody comes home from dealing with the shark attack to find his wife crying about he goes to the trash can, takes the dead cat, drives to Larry Vaughn's house to throw it against his chest.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons, a big part of the reason that the movie works as well as it does is the humor. And
Yes.
Sure.
it's
Golly,
it's got so much heart in the way that it's delivered and in the performances. And it's also just so the shark attacks are so well done and so traumatic that the humor balances it out.
Yes.
And without that, it's hard to imagine sitting through it,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the book is fairly joyless. I
Yes.
mean, the shark dies of natural causes. He can't even claim to kill it. And he's swimming home to a wife who's been cuckolding him for most of the book.
Yeah.
It's so funny when that film came out. I don't know, as a kid, it seemed like all of a sudden like rubber sharks were everywhere. And I remember that summer going to the local pool. And yes, I have my rubber shark too. From
There we go. Mine's better.
Pat, what's funny is I remember a lot of moms who they bring their kids. The kids, we'd all jump in the pool, and how many moms had the book of Jaws and they were reading. I remember that distinctly.
It was a summer. It was the best. And what you're saying is true. Benchley was in his book Shark Life. Benchley complains it wasn't a #1 bestseller until it was in paperback.
Yeah.
When it was in hardback, it was #2. It was blocked by Richard Adams' Watership Down, which talked about animal abuse.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
But
It's
I remember
the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with rabbits.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But
Really?
so here in 75, Jaws comes out, and I remember there was an official gray shark that came out that they put a sticker on it that said Jaws.
He was the hard plastic one.
He's
I
the hard
stepped on my
plastic one.
brothers and I thought it landed on a punji stick.
Yeah, no, so I have that one.
It went right through your foot. Yeah.
But then the funny thing is, there were other cheaper rubber sharks out there from whether it was Ben Cooper or AHI, capitalizing on the shark craze.
That blue one, you know the one I'm talking about? It was blue at the top. He had pupils. He didn't have black eyes.
Right.
He had pupils, but it was the best shark I'd ever seen,
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And when it came out, my mom banned me from seeing it. She took my big brother. So we were summering in my family's home in Seattle. My grandmother lived in Seattle. There was a movie theater 2 blocks away, and my Uncle Jerry wanted to take all his boys. And Mom goes, "Oh, my sister used to call me Fraidy Pat, and I used to get really freaked out watching horror movies on Saturday afternoon, and I couldn't sleep. So my mom banned everyone else from seeing it, including me."
No.
And I remember standing in front of the movie theater as like a kid asking, "Oh my God, was it scary?" And people are telling me how scary. It's 2 blocks away, and my mom won't let my Uncle Jerry take us to see it.
When did you get to see it, though?
I saw it on a double bill at the Troy Drive-In with Orca the Killer Whale.
No.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
didn't see it until it was on one of his second or third re-release.
Wow.
It's a good double feature, though.
Yeah.
Orca. It made Orca look far worse by comparison.
Oh yeah, of course, sure.
But Jaws comes out in 1975, and everyone is just, is there going to be another shark movie? Everyone wants to see sharks, and people don't want to go into the beach and stuff. And we had to wait 3 years for Jaws 2.
That's right.
In 1978. And Pat, you had mentioned that the first director was let go for
John Hancock from Let's Scare Jessica to Death.
Yeah,
one of my favorite horror films ever.
Yeah,
he's a genius. The guy is literally a genius. He and his wife Dorothy Tristan. He was married to an actor. They're both in my book, and Dorothy had starred in the second Incredible Hulk TV pilot, The Incredible Hulk Returns. And Kenneth Johnson, the producer of the Hulk, made it a point of hiring her for a part in this Hulk TV movie. When they were blackballed at Universal, nobody was allowed to work with them.
No.
And she said, "Oh yeah." After they were fired off the movie, he literally said he was a pariah, but it made him better. He came back. He did a movie. He did Prancer, but he did a great prison movie called Weeds.
Right. Yeah. I remember that.
With Nick Nolte and Ernie Hudson, and it's an amazing. So, but he said it was so weird. Because when you read what Dorothy Tristan was going to do, her name was on the best-selling Jaws 2 book based on a screenplay by, and I think they mentioned the original writer who was the guy who wrote The Great White Hope, and he did
Howard Sackler.
Howard Sackler, thank you. He did the uncredited pass on Jaws, where he brought in the Indianapolis. And so Howard Sackler, they were Hancock and Tristan were social friends of Howard Sackler. So when she had all these ideas and rewrote him, it was considered a social faux pas. But everything she brought in worked. She's the one who brought in the water skier. And when they threw them off the project, and you know, you would see the Marvel Comics adaptation. It's great. It's based on the Hancock Tristan version. Brody has PTSD. He's seeing sharks everywhere. His children are being teased. There's another shark, but he's so deep in his own head he can't acknowledge it. And the town is going bankrupt. And it's beautifully drawn by Gene Colan. And I mean, in the book, the shark attacks were crazier. They're originally going to have a male and a female water skier, and the shark was going to get them both.
Wow.
I mean, you know, if nothing you would be able to do with a shark that could barely work.
Right.
And really bloody in the comic too. Really graphic.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So how did they get a second director? Like, how did it all end up happening?
Well, they got Jano Schwark, and I'm the only book. There's a Jaws 2 book now, but I'm the only book that got Jano and John Hancock to talk to me. My brother Don. Yeah, I got to give my brother Don credit. Don goes, well, Hancock wants to talk to you at such and such a time, and on Sunday we're going to have lunch with Jano. And Jano was fantastic. John Hancock was fantastic. His wife Dorothy was wonderful. Not only are they, as I said, they appear in my Hulk companion as well. And she said literally that Kenneth Johnson saved her sanity by letting her redeem herself, by putting her on the Hulk TV movie. Wow. And she said she would hear the wardrobe people, how dare they let that woman in the lot after what she and her husband did to Jaws.
Wow.
And and I mean, she goes, we were literally walking wounded from the experience. And she goes, it took years. You're doing the sequel of the greatest movie of all time, and you're being perceived as blowing it. But everything they were doing is so interesting. There is one shot of Hancock's in the movie, and that was the shot he got. Spielberg dictated to him. He said the one shot I would do when Hancock met with Steven Spielberg, he goes, he wasn't a god then. He was just considered an extremely lucky director.
Right.
And Spielberg went lunch with him and told him, this is all the stuff you're going to face with Jaws. And one of the things he told him, you know, it'd be fun. You do a shot. This is just Spielberg talking to Hancock. He goes, you hear the seagulls, you know, you pan around, you show the water, you show the welcome to Amity. And he goes, you pull back. And then suddenly the dorsal fins come out of the water and they're heading for the beach. That's what I would do if I were doing Jaws 2. Well, they do that. And of course, that became the big selling point for Jaws 2. And another thing, when he mentioned reading the book, the shark in the book, Benchley knew about sharks from South Africa and stuff. So almost every attack in the Jaws novel is a breach. The shark coming out of the water from underneath to go, you know, he goes up and takes them and brings them down.
Yeah.
So what happened is, you only get the shark to breach once in the movie, and that's when he jumps out of the water at the very ending. But in the book, the shark is breaching so much, there's a part where all 2 tons of him leaps over the orca, and literally Hooper, Brody, and Clint are in the shade of the shark going over their heads.
What? Wow.
Yeah. So that's pretty trippy. I mean,
yeah.
And the sharks do that all the time in South Africa. But they don't know why South African sharks do that. But Benchley was writing about them breaching long before anyone else picked it up.
Pat, if Hancock had been able to make Jaws 2, you think it would have been a better movie?
No offense to Jeannot and no offense to Carl, but yeah, I do think it would have. Because when you read the Jaws 2 by Hank Searles based on the script, read the Marvel Comics version. It's really dark and it's really haunting. And a lot of it wasn't Hancock's fault. He wanted to paper all this stuff with going out of business signs and everything. But none of when they came back to Martha's Vineyard, none of the local businesses wanted to close down. and they sure as hell didn't want to put going out of business in their window.
Right.
But Pat, to go from one director, you're going to follow up this big successful movie. You're going to make, hey, we're going to do a second one. You get a director in here, and something happens to where the studio says, we're pulling you out. We're going to put in a new guy. Anytime you do that, it's a huge, huge risk, because now it's like the director coming in. It's like, okay, am I just a director for hire? I'm going to just do what the studio wants and not go, the vision you want.
Whose vision is it?
So sometimes you get this mix up, and the film that you get is not exactly what it was supposed to be.
Well, Jeannot Schwark was pulled in at the last minute. And he thought he was coming in for some Quentin Martin TV movie, and then he found out they were considering him for Jaws, and he gave them a highlight reel, and Verna Fields is the one who told Lou Wasserman and Sid Sheinberg he was the guy. She said the earthquake scene he shot in a single day in Bug. Bug is the first horror movie to ever shoot in Riverside. First movie ever shot in Riverside, California, by the way. and so when he did that, when he turned around and did that, he turned in the footage, and Verna Fields was watching it with Sheinberg and Wasserman, and they were throwing questions at Jeannot. He told my brother Don and I this, and they said, if you were going to do Jaws 2, what would you do? And he goes, well, I would direct a couple of the big action set pieces first so they could get the script in order while I'm doing that, And I talked to Perry Gilpin's brother, I think Chris Gilpin, who passed away, played Sean Brody in the second one. And he said he spent 2 weeks just sitting on a pile of grass watching them shoot the shark eating the helicopter and just getting nowhere with it. It was just endlessly hard of them just sitting out in the sun trying to get this shark to eat the helicopter. But while those scenes were going on, Carl Gottlieb was on the island in his hotel room typing. Gottlieb told me every time he tried to come out for a bite to eat or a cup of coffee, every single local on the island would go, they all knew the fate of the movie depended on him. He would be walking around just trying to get a cup of coffee or a sandwich, and people would look at him and go, how's it coming? How's it coming?
Wow.
And he said he would flee back to his room. Yeah.
Well, I mean, talk about being in an impossible place with this, because it's kind of like, we've had Tom Holland on the show. He did Psycho 2. And, this is a movie that was made years after the original. Here you've got Jaws 2, which is not too long after Jaws. And you've got to top a perfect movie, and you've got to try in some way to create the same kind of excitement that you did with this first movie. And when I watched the movie, I think it looks okay. And I think the shark looks all right, but I think it's terribly dull. And I think that the shark they show it too much, and that's the main problem.
You see, in one shot, you can see not at the ending. You can see this really ticked off Roy Arbogast. You can see the shark's eyes smoking in a normal scene because he said they wouldn't give them the cylinder they needed. The Universal wouldn't pay for the cylinder, so the eyes would rotate right. And another scene, a famous scene where the shark passes by the boat.
Yes,
you
it
see
folds
the pipe
up
in the shark's mouth. Yeah.
Yeah, it folds like a rubber.
They should
have redone that shot.
So you have that, but then you also have, when I watched the movie again recently, it came off to me like they originally started with a Meatballs sequel script, and then they added sharks. Like all the stuff with the kids, it's just there's so much of it, and the teen drama and all that. Well, I don't need any of that.
Yeah.
No.
I thought it was the idea was, hey, Jaws was really great, but it's the kids that want to see this movie, so let's put in all those teenagers.
It's also
that was very Universal Studios thinking.
Yeah, no, it's a bad idea.
And then, by the way, in 70s kids, they date the movie horribly. They date it. They date it.
Also, it comes across a little bit like a slasher film with these disposable teenage characters who none of them really are developed very well.
And it's a proto. It's a proto slasher because it predates Halloween by 4
That's
months.
true.
Yeah, that's true.
It came out
That's
June
true.
and Halloween came out in October.
That's one
Yeah.
of the few interesting things you can say for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you, James.
yeah, it offends me. It offends me because most of it is a lazy beat for beat Jaws.
Yes.
Instead of the Kung Fu School, it's the naked lady dancing and the CB radio and other stuff that dated.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
She attacks him. Ellen attacks him for smoking. He
Yeah.
smokes like a chimney, as does the mayor in the first movie, and nobody
Right.
says
Right.
That's
anything.
true.
Right.
But also,
Yeah.
I mean, like without Hooper and Quint and boy, Roy Scheider. I mean, I love
Yeah.
Roy Scheider. I
Yeah.
love Roy Scheider.
I
in
love-
everything.
He's the best part.
Yeah.
He's the best part.
But you can
He
tell.
did not. He
he's-
did not want to be there. He did.
And you can
Right.
kind of see it, and like
Yes.
you kind of he mopes around in the movie like, why am I in this? You know?
Right,
And it's like,
right.
and from Pat, talk about like I guess behind the scenes, like there was like a literal fight between the
Oh.
director and Scheider.
Yeah.
Like how?
Oh, Janot couldn't wait. He left, and when I showed him the picture of him and Brody, he goes, I gave him that shot because he goes, I must keep this shot of my dear friend Roy Scheider. And he was smirking to us. He said, well, yeah, all sorts of nonsense happened. Look at it from Roy Scheider's point of view. He shot for 2 months with Hancock, and they shut the movie down, and then they came back to him and asked him to go back and shoot everything again.
Wow.
Also,
Yeah.
he fought with Michael Cimino and walked off the set of The Deer Hunter, and the guy who played his
Right.
role got an Oscar. So
No.
Scheider wanted an Oscar. That's why he was so bummed he didn't win for all that jazz. And I
Right.
mean,
yeah, he's great in that.
yeah, and Scheider, a story that came up I was unaware of, and I spent 2 weeks. I spent a week shadowing William Friedkin in college. It just came up the other day. He was going to be the original Father Karras in The Exorcist.
Oh,
Roy Scheider
Really?
was.
Really?
Really?
And
I can see
then-
that.
Yeah,
No, that
I
would've been
mean,
good.
you can totally see that. And then
Yeah.
he went to see a play, the championship season, written and starring Jason Miller. And guess what? Roy Scheider finds after a month of waiting for this movie, he's no longer in it.
Oh my gosh.
No. I
Yeah,
know
so
that.
Jaws, yeah, and then he watches that become a hit. So when
Yeah.
Jaws became a hit, several people on the movies told me he was haunted by it because he thinks they didn't notice the humans in it. They only cared about the shark,
Right.
you know?
Right.
is
Yeah.
is the Hancock footage, Pat? Did that survive? Did they
If
completely?
I wasn't able to find any of it. I asked
Hmm.
John himself. John is a very sweet guy. He's on the line. If you ask him any try not to start with Jaws 2 because it's sort of a sore spot with him, as you may imagine. 'Cause, I mean, we talked about Prancer and his other stuff. I mean, I like it. I mean, Let's Scare Jessica to Death. It's a stone cold classic.
So great.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. and
bang
his
the drum
wife-
slowly?
Yeah. Oh my God. Bang the
Yeah.
drum slowly with the hot as hell Barbara Babcock in it. You know what I mean? I mean,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Don't get me started.
And ironically, De Niro.
And yeah, I know,
That's right.
You're exactly right. I'm right. By the way, way to bring it full circle. I can
Right.
see why it's always a party with you monsters. So, yeah.
Let's scare Roy Scheider to death.
So what
Yeah, and I
happened?
heard
Go
that Scheider had creative differences with Janot Schwark, and they came to blows. But I was like, what kind of creative differences are they going to have? Like, oh, what's Brody's motivation? You know, he wants to
Well,
kill
he
the
didn't
shark.
want to, no, what he did, it's worse than that. I cover this in the book. It's worse than that. He decided to basically say, F it. And he kept sunning himself on the rocks. And it got darker and darker and
Sure.
darker.
Yeah, he's
To the
very
point where-
leathery.
He's very leathery. Yeah.
Yeah.
He always
Yeah,
was. though.
watch the scene where he's in the dark putting cyanide into his bullets for the
Right.
shark.
Right.
Yeah.
Janot Schwartz said he tanned himself so dark they had to color correct those scenes.
Wow.
And then there was a scene where they were talking after shooting one day, and it was Roy Scheider, Verna Fields, and Janot Schwartz. And Verna was basically doing what she did in the first film. She was the one who'd give everybody pep talks. Everybody from Arbogast, Kevin Pike, Joe Elves, Carl Gottlieb, everybody loved her. Her nickname was Mother Cutter. And Janot Schwartz would say at his darkest hours, Verna Fields would grab his elbow and say, Janot, just get a shot of the tail doing this and we can work with the rest of it. You know, we can make
Yeah.
this work. And he said he gave her credit for helping him big time. So they're literally in the hotel room. It's him, Roy Scheider, I think one of the producers, and Verna Fields. And he was talking about something, and he said, Scheider basically said, "That's it," balled up his fists and came at him, swinging at him. He threw his arms around Roy Scheider's neck to choke him because Verna Fields is screaming, "Not the face, you know, not the face."
Not in the face.
That's just out of the movie. He was wonderfully French. I was at a disadvantage because he didn't have to worry about my face.
Right.
And you know, I think Zanuck was in the room and he goes, "What the hell are you guys doing?"
Wow.
And Verna Fields, who I guess was not a small lady, jumped on both of them while they were wrestling. And
That's
neither one of them wanted
insane.
to hit Verna Fields. And so she separated them. And he said, and when Universal saw they had to color correct the footage, Jeannot says, "I know not what they say to Roy. Small airplane, fly to the island. 2 Universal lawyers got out. Roy Scheider's agent joined us on the island." Jeannot said, the 2 lawyers walked into a room with Roy Scheider. And even though he was sunburned, and they kept telling him, "Please don't, please, you're getting too dark you're getting too dark for the camera." He looked at them and said, "I could give a shit," you know? And when he came out of the meeting, they said he was ashen. So whatever they threatened him with, Jeannot goes, "It must have been pretty dire."
Wow.
He sat in a dark room taking pills to get rid of his sunburn. That's what Jeannot told me.
Oh my gosh.
And in
That is
fairness,
incredible.
Scheider, he did not want to do this, but because he was under contract,
Right.
he had to do it.
Yeah, 3-picture deal.
Yeah.
He had a 3-picture deal, but after he walked off Deer Hunter, they told him, "We'll consider it 3 pictures if you just do Jaws 2.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons he did kind of a schlocky slasher movie called Night Game.
Oh my God. Yeah, I've seen that.
yeah.
Like, why is Roy Scheider in this?
Yeah,
He did Night Game because he said Universal offered him a deal. Or Universal offered him $1 million for 9 days' work.
Wow.
And the word was that was for Chief Brody to be eaten by a shark at the beginning of Jaws: The Revenge.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he said no, Tim. He did Night Game because it was as far from the Bahamas as it could possibly be. His girlfriend in Night Game is his daughter-in-law in Jaws: The Revenge.
Oh,
So the
wow.
girl played his girlfriend, but he said no temptation offered by the devil could make me ever say yes to Jaws: The Revenge.
Before we go into Jaws: The Revenge, we need to talk about the 1983 version of, Jaws 3D. And
of course,
what's interesting, this was the new 3D, and there were a lot of 3D movies coming out at that time. You had Amityville 3D,
don't forget Friday the 13th 3D.
Friday 13th, Metal Storm, The Destruction of Gerald Zinn, Space Hunter Adventures of the Forbidden Zone.
You gotta get Space Hunter Adventures in the Forbidden Zone.
But Pat,
what are some of the long titles
in this house?
Look, Pat, the thing was, it's like, hey, 3D, we're gonna bring the kids back into the theater. Let's put this shark. It's gonna be 3D.
God.
So you would
my.
think, well, exactly. With SeaWorld's help, right?
Oh yeah. First of all, you got to give credit. It's a writing credit by Richard Matheson. Richard Matheson.
God.
He tried.
And Richard Matheson told me one of the biggest mistakes he made. Spielberg came to him after Duel and wanted him to write Jaws. And he listened to Spielberg pitch him. And he said, Steven, you're essentially pitching me Duel with a shark.
Right.
And so he said, and he goes, don't take any business advice from me. I said no to Jaws, and I said yes to Jaws 3D.
Right. But I know that from what I've heard, it's his script got reworked a lot, and what ended up on the screen was not really what his vision at all.
Yeah, he was leaning towards a Mattawan Creek type situation, where you had a shark where it shouldn't have been there, where the shark gets into a swimming area and nobody knows how to handle it.
Right.
And then with the 3D stuff, he was surprised. He thought he was the original writer. Then he saw the movie and said, "Who the hell was Gordon Trueblood, who got storyboard credit?" And there's also my favorite credit on Jaws 3D is suggested by the novel Jaws by Peter Benchley.
Suggested.
Vaguely
I read
referenced.
that book. Nobody ever suggests going to SeaWorld to fight a shark.
Well, and for listeners, if you haven't seen Jaws 3D,
It's a must see.
well, Matt, I don't know if I
In a
go
way.
that far.
In a way, yes, it is.
But imagine a place like SeaWorld, has this great place where there's, like
It's like
surfing.
SeaWorld.
It's
They
like
have they have
SeaWorld.
water shows with fish
Yeah.
and dolphins. And
Yes, and a shark is like going after its baby, kind of a thing.
yeah, it
Right.
sneaks into the park.
Yeah,
It's
That was just
Gorgo
not-
meets Revenge of the Creature.
Yeah, exactly.
Right on the nose, you're right. And I think the idea of infiltrating SeaWorld as a type of place is not necessarily a bad idea, but the movie,
That's not the problem.
the movie, it's just from the get-go, it's like, wow, this is like Jaws 3D is like the Superman 4 of the Jaws franchise.
oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
By the way,
It's like-
Nice, Sean,
Superman
nice.
3 opened. Superman 3 opened within a week or two of Jaws 3D.
Oh my God.
And Jaws the Revenge, I think, opened the same weekend as Superman 4 The
Oh
Quest
my
for
God.
Peace.
Okay. Now you just
There
blew
you
my
go.
mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like,
That's-
but Jaws 3D is like a cheesy disaster movie. It's like Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, but the thing is, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea has way better special effects than Jaws 3D.
Yes. It is hilariously
It's-
bad.
It's like
And
it's what?
just 3D in itself is so funny and obvious
Yes,
that it's almost like those Three Stooges shorts where
Yes.
they'll take the hypodermic needle and put it right up. Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah,
Count Floyd.
but if you see the movie, guys, see the movie. The last time I saw it in a theater, they did an advanced screening of the Meg, and they threw it in a brand new universal print of Jaws 3D.
Really?
See it? Yeah, see it in 3D. It's a different movie. It's a Jack Arnold 50s movie. You gotta enjoy it. I mean,
Yeah, and that cheesy level. I have to admit. I will say, I do kind of enjoy Jaws 3D more than Jaws 2, because
I
it's,
agree, Sean.
Interesting.
yeah, no,
and-
I'm with Sean on this. Jaws 2 offends me in immediate comparison. They're making it look like the Spielberg movie, and it doesn't have Quinn, it
Right.
doesn't have Hooper,
Right.
Yeah.
it doesn't have the smarts of the first film. Whereas Jaws 3D is a goofy 50s adventure you can take or leave.
Yes.
The final scene, spoiler alert,
Oh.
where you see the shark go through this window into a control room.
In slow motion.
It is so funny. Like the matte lines are so obvious.
Yeah.
And then when the glass breaks, it's just like, hey, you know what? We've got a half hour to do this. I found an optical printer at a dump. Let's get
Well, it's not even a model shark. It looks like a picture of a shark, like a cardboard cutout. It doesn't even
Right.
move.
Gilliam.
Tabletop.
Paste,
Yeah.
It's Terry Gilliam, right? Yeah. And
It's
by
so
the way,
bad.
here's something I heard, and maybe Pat, you can verify this, but I read something that like Dennis Quaid said in every scene that he is
Coked out of his mind.
on screen. He's coked out of his head.
Yeah. Yeah, his pupils are like pinholes from much
They're
move.
shark eyes.
You know,
See, now I have to
I mean,
watch it
it's-
again, knowing that.
it was Leah Thompson's first movie after
Yeah.
her Burger King
Mm.
commercial. You know what I mean?
Okay, another reason why it's easier to watch is you got Leah Thompson and Bess Armstrong in it, which for me is I can watch the two of them easily in anything.
It's just such
But
a
it's
slog.
Well, it
It's a
is.
slog. No, it's a slog.
Joe Alves had this incredible reputation after being the production designer on Jaws 2. He's given this opportunity to direct. He could not have intended to make that piece of shit.
I
can only imagine.
No, I don't understand. Look, this is an expensive film. I don't understand. You give a guy who hasn't really directed, before, and this is a big budget film. how
Right.
he could get this job as being the director.
You know what? I'm gonna jump in real fast because he was second unit director and the guy who got all the shark footage on Jaws 1 and 2. So he knew how to storyboard and everything. There's some good attacks in the movie. The Leah Thompson's bumper boat scene, which is done just like the estuary attack in the original film.
Right. Not too bad. Yeah.
I think Gottlieb was brought in to punch up the script, and Gottlieb does the stuff. Ironically, the stuff without the shark, Gottlieb does a good job with the romance between Sean and Leah Thompson, and with Bess Armstrong and Dennis Quaid. I think where the movie falls down, like you said, it feels like a 70s airport movie. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, and Lou Gossett, who's doing some bizarre accent, which I cannot figure out.
Actually, I can explain that. Rupert Hitzig told me a great story. Rupert Hitzig said he's going to play him like Walt Disney. And so whenever he's in public, he's talking like Walt Disney. Everything is good. But he goes, notice behind the scenes, he immediately goes street. That damn fish is here, but it's damn fish is
Right.
You know, and Rupert Hitzig really admired that. And when you watch it with that, he is doing a character. He goes very street. Nephew, why am I going to kill all the fish in my park? You know, and they got it. I remember Alves at his home. Alves lives in this beautiful home he designed above Tarzana. You see all of Tarzana from his balcony, from his living room. And he won an NAACP award for casting Lou Gossett as the head of SeaWorld, which I thought was cool.
Wow. Something.
But what did you expect was going to happen with the shark? Like, I was genuinely moved when the baby shark dies. Because,
by the way, only time in the series they try to save a shark, by the way.
That's true. Right, that was a nice element, I thought.
But what did you expect? It's SeaWorld. Of course they're going to kill them.
Also, speaking of which,
when the baby shark dies, the editor does something, the sound editor does something really clever. When the fin goes over and you see the baby shark is dead, you hear a baby immediately start crying, which I thought was really cool.
I don't remember that off the.
Well, and also speaking of SeaWorld, the whole movie is very product placement filled with, like, you have Coca-Cola, you have Dunkin' Donuts, but also if you think about SeaWorld, it's a commercial for SeaWorld in the same way that Mac and Me is a commercial for McDonald's.
Mac and Me actually had Ronald McDonald introduce it in theater lobbies.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I had more fun at Mac and Me, Sean. I don't know.
But Pat, one thing you put out in the book too, which is really funny, is that the idea that the shark kind of sneakily swims into SeaWorld, when in reality SeaWorld is 5 miles inland.
Landlocked.
So it's like
get in there if he tried.
So it's like Tremors. It's Tremors also. It's like going into the ground and the water. It's like, it's crazy.
These sharks get more crafty every time.
What year did this movie about a shark attacking an undersea park come out?
83.
What happened 10 years later? Jurassic Park, fellas.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
and the book wasn't written until 91, so I thought that was one of the more interesting elements. I mean, it is. There are some similarities, you know.
You're right.
Ideas swirling around in the zeitgeist.
See, I always thought Michael Crichton ripped off his own Westworld. Now I see he ripped off Jaws 3D.
And himself.
Sadly, he's done, so it's too late to sue him.
So we have Jaws 3D to thank. Is that what you're saying? For
yes, that's my argument. That's Revenge of the Creature.
Yes,
I do want to.
Right.
I do want to see it in 3D, though. Now,
if you've never seen it, it's a treat if you see it in 3D.
I'm sure.
I mean, all the, like you said, the 3D Three Stooges, it's all hypodermic and
One more thing, Pat, though, before we move on to the next one, I want to say about Jaws 3D is that I was fascinated by the idea that when it was in development, it was originally, at least for a while, going to be like a National Lampoon style parody called Jaws 3 People Zero. And apparently Spielberg got very upset by that. Like, tell us about that.
Not just him. Zanuck and Brown were pissed.
Really?
Yeah, David Brown writes about it in his book, and David Brown basically says they're taking what were very painful experiences. There were affairs. A lot of the crew on Jaws got divorced because they hooked up with. Yeah, no. Bill Butler's wife, Iris, told me this. She goes, every wife who didn't go into the island had a change of because they're away from their family, and there's 19-year-old waitresses all over the island.
Wow.
So Iris Butler goes, everyone who wasn't there, you know what I mean? And so, affairs and stuff were part of the Jaws 3
Oh my
People
gosh.
Zero script.
well,
And they were literally looking at it like, you're taking this thing which has made you millions and millions of dollars, and you're taking a shit on it. You know, and
right.
And I mean, it's funny. It's a John Hughes script, but there's also a lot of. There's no reason for Peter Benchley to be eaten in his Palm Springs pool in the first 5 minutes, which happens in the script.
Oh wow!
And Spielberg, Zanuck, and Brown made it clear they weren't happy about it being done as a comedy. And Zanuck and Brown, after the torment of Jaws 2, which they said they had to do basically 2 Jaws movies, because they had to remount it after they lost John Hancock and brought in. So they sold it to, I think, Alan Landsberg.
Yeah, right,
So,
right.
Jaws 3D is very cheap jack compared to the first 2 movies.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, it's all done in a tank. They did it in a tank to keep it controlled.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And one of the best stories in Jaws 3D, I'm blanking on his name because I don't have it in front of me, but there's a guy, and he'll kill me when I run into him. He was like an assistant, and he got so many Battlefield promotions going through the movie. He's the guy you sing the tap touch game with Leah Thompson in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And because he was he's with Twisted Pictures. He helped make the Saw movies. He made Repo, the Genetic Opera.
Oh,
I'm blanking. It's a really Carl Rizzo, great Italian guy. So Carl Rizzo started as like a PA. No, I'm terrible. Carl Mazzacone. Carl Rizzo was the midget who doubled Hooper in the original Jaws and the Shark Tank.
Oh, okay, right.
Carl Mazzacone, cool Italian dude. They needed to make the Shark Tank. He found the guy in Florida who could do the plexiglass. So when they wanted to find an entrance to SeaWorld, he went to the governor of Florida and said, hey, where is the best cliff that looks like it could be the entrance to SeaWorld? And he looked at Carl and he goes, I'm going to have my pilot fly you along the Florida coast until you're happy with and he goes, literally, he'd spend like 2 days flying up and down Florida until he found the perfect entrance to SeaWorld for when the muscle guy Shelby Overman gets eaten.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, they say his name like a million times, even though he's one generic kill. And he's flexing. Yeah, so the governor literally threw him the keys to the helicopter and sent his pilot with him. So Mazzacone is one of the heroic stories. He was just a local hire, wound up with a little acting part, wound up with a PA gig, made himself invaluable, and he had like 8 different jobs during the movie, and then became a real legit producer after the film. He's still producing. He's producing stuff now, you know?
Wow.
Nice.
And he told me he gets nostalgic watching Jaws 3D because he remembers what each of his flunky jobs was during the movie before he got promoted.
Speaking of all the affairs that were happening during this production, I just want to circle back just briefly to Jaws, the original Jaws, talking about Hooper's sex life.
Yes.
Richard Dreyfuss apparently did pretty well with the ladies during that production. And as the stories go, he got more ladies than anybody in the production because he had just come off of Duddy Kravitz, right?
Yeah, to quote an Islander, he goes, it's not our fault we weren't in American Graffiti. Because American Graffiti had already come out. He's the hero of the movie. And he's the lonely, touched guy.
Right.
He's the touching writer. He's the lonely guy in the movie. So he was the guy, you know, that was perfect for him to be on the island. Because, I mean, all the off-the-record stories about 19-year-old waitresses from everybody in my book, It
No,
was hilarious because even Iris Butler goes, yeah, a lot of marriages ended on that movie.
Wow.
I heard that Mary Ellen Moffat, who broke his heart, was an actual waitress who broke his heart.
Wow, that's well, you know,
Oh.
the mother of his children, the mother of Dreyfus's children, is Sadie, the killer from Last House on the Left, the original.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so how's that for a deep dive? Another interesting thing is
Impressive.
and one of the more infamous affairs in the Jaws movies is Dennis Quaid was married to PJ Soles when he was doing Jaws 3D.
Really?
Oh.
And he took up with, and I mean, you've seen Leah Thompson in a bathing suit in the
Oh,
beginning of
yeah.
that
My
movie.
God.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
And at the time, he was, Dennis Quaid was big news because of the right stuff and everything else.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Leah Thompson would go to dinner with Carl Gottlieb and then slip off to meet Dennis
Oh my
Quaid.
God. So
Oh,
Dennis
wow.
Dennis
Press.
Quaid has been with PJ Soles and Leah Thompson, is what you're saying.
Pretty
And-
amazing, isn't it?
and was on
Not even
cocaine.
counting
Wow.
Meg Ryan.
Wow.
What a life.
Caroline in the City and Riff Randall.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm telling you, the man gets around.
He does.
You wouldn't expect anyone to live related to Randy Quaid to be that lucky.
Right. Okay. Well, I think we have to do it. We got to hit
There we go.
You
Jaws
gotta
the
do it,
Revenge.
Sean.
Well, that's all the time we have. This
No,
has been
no,
great.
Oh, we're at the end.
No, James.
Well,
Jaws the
first of
Revenge.
all, Monster Partiers, I am honored to be here, boys.
We are
Hey, we're
honored.
honored to have you, Pat. Really, this is great.
For listeners, we're about to talk about the classic from 1987,
Classic?
Jaws: The Revenge.
Wow.
Classic.
But by the way, before we start, Joseph Sargent, who directed it, also directed Colossus the Foreman Project
Yes.
and the Taking of Pelham 123. What the fuck?
Well,
Not
and
to
also
mention-
Star Trek.
not
He did
to
a classic
mention-
Star Trek episode.
Not to mention the
Corbomite-
classic Star Trek with Tranya. He directed the
the
Corbomite
Corbomite
maneuver.
Oh my God! Yeah, I mean, so
And
how?
my
how?
agent Karen Borman was like a niece to him.
Really?
And so when I called him for the book, he kept going, what do you want to say about Jaws the Revenge? It just didn't work.
In a nutshell, yeah. I mean, so how did this come about, Pat? I mean, was it? I mean, I know
Listen,
that.
I was there opening weekend as a kid thinking, okay, they just made Aliens, which is the best Alien sequel ever.
Oh my
I'll
God!
bet they really got their stuff together, and this time they're going to make it for Jaws 2 and Jaws 3D. It's going to be the best Jaws movie ever. First of all, it opened the same weekend as RoboCop, the original.
Oh my
No.
gosh! Oh my gosh!
So it got pounded into the ground. And here's a fun fact. It made $5 million opening weekend, which is the exact same gross that Jaws made in 200 theaters in its original weekend in 1975.
Wow.
Except Jaws the Revenge was on like 1,700 screens.
Wow.
You got to remember, if you see Jaws on TV, it's a Jaws the Revenge on TV. It's a different print entirely than the one you saw in
Yes,
theaters.
that's right. So, from what I understand, at the time, Universal was not doing great. They needed a hit, and Sid Sheinberg kind of fast-tracked this film to be, and the script was very hastily written. Is that true?
Well, the guy had won an Emmy. Michael de Guzman, who wrote it, had won an Emmy for, I think he wrote something about Amelia or something, and I think he might have did that with Sargent. They were doing the social issue TV movies of the day.
Okay.
And I honestly think they thought they had a great script with Jaws the Revenge. And the thing is, I'm convinced it's Islands in the Stream. It's his version of Ernest Hemingway's Islands in the Stream, where a guy goes to the Bahamas. There's a welder in the story. A guy's son is eaten by a shark, except it's, I think, a hammerhead in the book and movie of Islands in the Stream. And he goes to this island and he finds love again. I'm convinced Michael de Guzman thought he was doing Ernest Hemingway. And there's only one problem. Michael de Guzman is no Hemingway. And when you watch this movie, you're watching it and you're wondering, where is it going? Because Lorraine Gary is a wonderful actress.
Yeah.
And
I don't think
but
the performances are
asking her to
bad.
they're asking her to play mopey and unhappy
Yes,
and frowny.
Yeah, and her husband's been killed he died from a heart attack. It's like
well, but remember, like I told you, I believe the original thing was it was going to be Brody. They didn't add Sean getting eaten by the shark until Roy Scheider announced he wouldn't do the movie.
Oh, okay.
So why would you need Roy Scheider for 9 days for a movie where Ellen Brody falls in love because he's the one getting eaten?
Right.
So what happens? So what happened is she does this movie and it's legendary. It's all the problems of the original movie happen on this island, except it's not. They go to Martha's Vineyard and they go to the Bahamas. And the shark, if you notice, watch the movie, the shark is dry. The shark is never wet.
Yeah.
He travels on top of the water. Watch.
And the teeth are too clean and bright. It doesn't look fakey.
And you see the bumps on his skin from bad sanding. I mean,
and seams.
Yeah. And they keep doing the same 2 shots of the shark, but he's always on top of the water. They couldn't get him going right. You watch the movie, and I mean, it's just, and I mean, if you read Hank Searle's novel based on the original script, they explain, and listen, this is 1987, okay? We're not talking about something from the 40s.
Right.
In the novelization, hard to get, but well worth the read of Jaws the Revenge.
Yeah.
A black voodoo witch doctor puts a curse on Michael Brody on the Bahamas. And in the book, that takes over the shark, and that's why the shark suddenly has to go to the Bahamas. The shark in the book can't even explain why he's doing it. But there's a black voodoo witch doctor, and I think there's one line of him. When the mom says the shark is hunting the family, Lance Guest playing the son turns, Mom, this is the only line addressing that in the 87-minute movie. Mom, tell me you don't believe that. Tell me you don't believe that voodoo. That's the only line of that left in the movie.
Yeah. But see, I want to see that movie, though.
Hey, James, have you read this novel?
You know, I read it on a bus, and
Really?
I had picked up the paperback in a bookstore, and I read it on a long bus trip. I don't remember a thing about it, and I didn't end up
City
going to
bus
see
or
the movie.
Greyhound?
It was a Trailways.
Now, look, for listeners who are not familiar with this film, you might, if you're like looking on online, you go, "Hey, Michael Caine's in this. This has got to be a good
Michael
film."
Caine.
Michael Caine, yes, the British actor who is in those Christopher Nolan Batman films.
He only makes great films.
And by the way, not this one.
I don't think he's terrible in this. I think
this cost him the Oscar for Hannah and Her Sisters.
Right.
Well, he won, but he couldn't be there for it because he was filming Jaws the Revenge.
Right.
But Michael Caine is just doing Michael Caine. He's fine.
Yeah.
And look, folks, the real reason is when you're a working actor, you want to get paid.
You got to make a buck.
And essentially, he got a lot of money to be in this film. And I guess he's quoted as saying something like, "No, I've never seen the film, but I do look at my beautiful house, that the money that got me the house."
Yeah, he bought it. He says in the autobiography, exactly right. He bought his mother a house with the money. And he says, and his mother and his brother were living in the house.
Aww. Because this time it was personal.
Yeah.
It could be a good double bill with the island.
That's what the shark, the female ichthyologist in Jaws 2 says, sharks don't take things personally, Chief Brody, in the second movie. And then here it is, this time it's personal.
It is amazing because you have this, like, I guess it's supposed to be that Ellen Brody has this almost like psychic connection to the shark,
right?
And she,
but I'm the voodoo guy,
the voodoo.
Voodoo.
It's so, and there's so much time spent, like you said, so much time spent of her moping around and worrying about seeing a shark and the flashbacks. I love the fact that they have flashbacks and dream sequences, including flashbacks that she has where she wasn't even there in the moment where they had the flashback. It's so.
There are fish-related jobs inland too. Like that's something that someone should have been told.
And in each one of these films, there's a classic ending where the demise of the shark, and I would say perhaps this one is the most ridiculous. I would say.
They impale him in the original and he bleeds out. And then in the TV movie, they impale him and his head explodes.
But Pat, it makes no sense.
But was this done because this was done because the original ending was the bleeding out. It got terrible reactions from
No, that ran in
screenings.
theaters. The bleeding out runs in. They all jump off the boat, and because they know the shark will jump out of the water, and the boat impales him. And Roger Ebert, in his review, called it utterly incompetently shot. He goes, "You have to go by empirical evidence and how they killed the shark."
It's weird for listeners if you haven't. Okay, spoiler. Yeah, it's like it's bizarre how you have Mrs. Brody. Isn't she the one? She's the one that's steering the boat, aiming it towards the shark. So when the shark leaps, that front thing sticks into the shark, and the shark essentially goes ah. And it roars.
Yeah, roars like a lion.
Well, the
Sharks
roar
do not have vocal cords, but he's roaring in Jaws 3D and 4.
And he's roaring with the roar of Spot from the Munsters.
That's right. That's right.
By the way, taken from the Spot's roar was taken from an old, I don't think Jack Arnold directed it, but I think he produced it with William Allen, an old 1957 movie about these cool walking men in suit dinosaurs called The Land Unknown.
Oh, yeah.
That started?
Yeah,
Really?
That's where Spot got his roar, and that's where Jaws got his roar. You can hear the creature from the Black Lagoon when Jaws dies, when the shark dies in the original Jaws, and you see him slowly going into the silt at the very end of the movie. You'll hear very low the roar of the creature in the Black Lagoon. He uses it in Duel as well. It's like a signature piece.
Really?
Wow.
Interesting. For listeners, it sounds like depending on where you see it, you will get a different ending for Jaws: The Revenge if you choose to see it.
But is it?
Neither of them.
Right.
You should care about.
So they actually, after the movie first came out, that late in the game, Universal panicked and said, "Let's film a different ending." Is that how?
No, this will blow your mind. This came straight from Lance Guest. And when I talked to Joe Sargent, Joe would tell me all sorts of stories about how terrible it was, but he goes, "Yeah, I don't think we need to do an interview on this, but this is what happened here." So 2 weeks after the movie bombed domestically, they reshot the movie in a tank at Universal.
No.
They reshot the ending in because the shark jumps 30 feet in the air to eat Mario Van Peebles. All the white people are like 5 feet away from the shark, but it jumps 30 feet in the air to eat Mario Van Peebles. Because remember, in the 80s movies, there was no greater sacrifice a black character could do than to die for his white friends.
That's true.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
true.
sure.
So even though he's in a crow's nest, the effing shark jumps past all the white people to eat Mario Van Peebles.
Oh my God!
It's not only personal; it's racist.
But they changed.
What is it, boys? It's a gray white.
But Patrick, they changed it.
Oh.
But Patrick, they changed that so where Mario Van Peebles survives, right?
Yeah.
Even though you see the shark eating his chest.
Yeah, he's cutting him in half.
He's cutting him in half, and he comes back together like a cartoon.
I'm okay. I'm better now.
Now, are both cuts available, like on the Blu-ray, or is the other cut just completely
That's
gone?
an excellent question, because when I was researching my book, and I caught it on Channel 5, I just put it on, just for self-abuse, and I put it on, and when the narrator came on, I was like, what the hell?
Oh, yeah, there's some narration too, right?
Yeah, and I think a Video Watchdog pointed out both versions are on one of the Blu-rays.
Okay, yeah, we have like the DVD set of the 3 sequels, and that has the exploding scene, which is so incomprehensible. But if you go on YouTube and put in Jaws Revenge alternate ending, you can see the bleeding.
You can see that one.
But both are terrible.
Yeah, I saw that in the theater, terrible. And I thought, what? This isn't just coming to any kid's theater. This is coming a year after Aliens and Predator. Okay, raise your effing game. No, same summer as Predator. Later, a year after Aliens, and it's like you're sitting there shell-shocked.
Yeah, really, it is. It's hard to. It's like it's from another dimension. This movie.
Yeah, and then even little things like when Michael Caine gets pulled out of the water, a second later he's bone dry.
Yes.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about it is when you watch the movie, they shot it in the tank from the Truman Show. They shot it in the Falls Lake tank and from the tank from the Truman Show. On the Universal backlot, one of my aunts was visiting, an elderly Polish aunt, and she had pictures of the shark impaled. And I kept trying to find that shot for my book. They didn't even cover it with a tarp to hide it from the tourists.
Wow.
Wow.
Who
They could
cares?
give less than a damn at that moment.
This is how the
you know?
movie ends.
Yeah,
Nothing to see here.
Man, if they ever make a documentary on Jaws: The Revenge, they should just call it "The Movie Isn't Working."
I'm very
It's
proud
just-
to tell you.
It's
I'm
just
very proud to tell you, and I wasn't going to mention it, but they just put the trailer out. There is a documentary coming called Jaws Goes to the Bahamas, and they've interviewed me for it.
really. Oh my gosh,
Oh.
awesome!
Can't wait. I can't
I
wait.
can't
but
wait
it
for
is
that.
it's
I
fascinating.
walked in right after that guest came out. I thought that was really cool.
Nice. I mean, it is. I mean, historically, it becomes more fascinating as years go on, because it is
Yes.
still it is canon. It is canon to one of the greatest movies ever made. So,
Yes, I mean, Mrs. Taft and Mrs. Kindner are with Ellen in the movie. It's
that's
great.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
And
Oh
and
my
Lea
God.
Fierro said to me, she goes, dear, I know I'm in it, but if you can't say anything nice, I can't say anything at all. And she went like this.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And
So-
they got Murray Hamilton to agree to reprise Vaughn, and then he died right before that.
Yeah.
Phil
Mayor.
Doob became the mayor by
Right,
attrition.
Right.
He was the guy. He and his wife are forced to walk their kids into the water when they don't want to go in. Remember,
Right.
the
Yeah,
Mayor
yeah.
Vaughn goes,
That's right.
nobody is going in. You know?
Mm.
Yeah. Please
And-
go in the water. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, I got the wife. I got the wife before she passed.
Oh
You
man,
know,
nice.
I got the wife in that scene, so I was very happy.
Nice.
You know,
But even though that Jaws: The Revenge came out in '87, people love stuff about sharks. In 1988, Discovery started doing their Shark Week,
correct.
which has
Yeah,
run for
huge.
37 years.
I have a question. What exactly is Shark Week?
So Shark Week it's a week of these guys out in various places. Either it's Australia or in other places where there are lots of sharks. And they've done a lot of experiments of filming great white sharks in their natural habitat. And they'll do stuff like have like a fake seal kind of follow their boat, and they
Mhm.
film it at high speeds to see how the sharks come up. And
Okay.
there's great footage.
It's also
Uh,
seal
the-
torture porn.
Yes.
Oh.
Exactly, because it was funded by Discovery. They got these great footage of the sharks leaping out of the water
okay.
in Australia. A good friend of mine, Rob Henry, who I worked with at Playboy.
Oh,
went
Rob
on
Henry,
to-
right? Yeah.
went on to be one of the main guys producing that for
Wow.
years and years for Discovery. And
And
I
remember, it
asked him,
makes 80% of their budget. It makes 80% of their budget in 1
Yeah.
week.
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
but it's like
Incredible.
it's like America has this fascination with sharks.
Oh sure.
And there were so many movies about sharks that
Oh,
have
yeah.
happened since then. Deep Blue Sea from 1999. Well, of
Fantastic animatronic sharks. Go on.
course,
Mhm.
remember Open Water from 2003.
I love
Open
that
Water.
one.
Film.
Yeah.
I really liked it, but and of course, do you remember when we went to Comic-Con and Sharknado was the big thing? Do
Oh,
you remember
right,
that? You had
sure.
people dressed up. You have the Meg from 2018. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so many other
But
shows.
you got to mention The Shallows. The Shallows is
Well,
fantastic.
yes, but I'm
Is
I'm
that
just
good?
saying.
Oh,
It's like
fantastic.
we still, America still has a fascination with sharks, and I think as time has progressed, I think our sharks have gotten, faster and
Well,
look better,
bigger, right?
Yes.
Bigger.
But
James,
Well, but it's like,
James-
you guys, it's like tigers. There's a natural fascination with anything that can tear you apart. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
sharks, I think we love sharks because sharks are, what happens to you in the water? You're slowed down. It's cumbersome. You can't really move. And these things move like a cruise missile against us. It's
Yeah.
natural, as we're apes out of the trees, it's natural for us to be terrified and excited by something that can destroy us in such a grand fashion.
Yes.
You
Right.
can't see it coming.
Right. Well, and then James, I remember you would always point out these mockbusters. Did the wave start after Sharknado, where it got into Mega Shark and
Yeah, and most of them were from the Sharknado studio, the Asylum, where it was, Sharktopus, Snow Shark.
Actually, Sharktopus was Roger Corman, and a friend who will kill me designed the shark for that. I'm blanking on his name. Yeah, but remember, once the Asylum did Giant Shark versus Mega Squid,
yes,
that led the way
it had to happen.
There was the one where the shark flies into the air and bites a jet.
And by the way, that frame, that was a framed photo. That still from the TV movie was a framed 8x10, was a framed giant painting-sized photo on the wall of the Asylum.
Oh, nice.
That got them pre-Sharknado. That got one of the highest ratings they ever gotten.
Wow.
And Anthony Ferranti, who directed it, and Thunder Levin, who wrote it, when they did Sharknado, it beat the hell out of the $200 million Johnny Depp Lone Ranger movie. Opening weekend, all the P&E, Disney spent a ton of money, and all the P&E went to people. They spend, every time you turn on the radio or the TV, 5 things for Lone Ranger would fall out. But all anyone was talking about online was Sharknado, including Ridley Scott.
How couldn't you? How couldn't you?
Yeah. But also, before, this was the later kind of shark craze. We have to talk at least a little bit about right after the Jaws movie, you had the 70s was an onslaught of Jaws mania ripoffs. I mean, you had Mako, Jaws of Death, Tintorera, Tiger Shark, Up from the Depths.
Tintorera. The Tintorera. Yeah. Watch that. I saw the New Beverly, and as a kid, I'd seen it cut up on TV. It's a throuple. It's the hottie from the Fury, the hot chick from the Fury.
It's Susan George, Fiona Lewis, and Priscilla Barnes.
Yes.
Can't get any better than that.
3 hot chicks are sleeping with 2 guys.
Yeah.
And then one of the guys gets eaten by a shark. And the other shark hunter can't perform once his friend has been eaten. It's hilarious.
But also you have
it's happened to all of us, guys.
And the Italian industry, of course, embraced Jaws ripoffs. You had Tentacles, which is Jaws with a octopus. You had you had Grizzly, which is basically Jaws with a
Jaws on land with a bear.
On land.
If you read my article on Grizzly, I talked to the late Neil Adams about how Grizzly was a terrible movie. But Grizzly became the highest grossing independent film of 1976 because of that amazing Neil Adams poster. It held the record. It held the record as the highest grossing independent film for 2 years until it was dethroned in 1978 by Halloween.
I would argue that Grizzly is a guilty pleasure. Because
I agree.
One of the things, I love Andrew Prine in everything.
Yes. Yeah.
And Richard Jekyll's great. And just for that scene where the grizzly rips the baby's arm off.
Yeah. That's insane.
I did not see that coming. That's all I'm saying.
But I mean, the Neil Adams poster is better than the movie. And second, the bear tears of when the bear tears of the little kid's arm, they slap that with an R. It's important you should mention that scene, by the way, Sarah, because they slapped that movie with an R. Film Ventures challenged them, saying you only gave Jaws a PG despite nudity and intense gore because it was a studio movie. And it was one of the rare occasions where the MPAA reversed itself and gave Grizzly a PG.
Wow.
No.
Oh, yeah.
That movie is great, too, because you got Christopher George as Brody, Andrew Prine is Quint, and Richard Jekyll is Hooper. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Also,
Andrew Prine said he signed on and flew out there without a script. He said the director, William Girdler, the amazing William Girdler, who was beheaded by a helicopter after he made the Manitou.
That's right.
William Girdler goes, all you need to know, Andy, is we're doing Jaws with a bear. And,
that's it. And of course,
Carl Gottlieb told me they were supposedly Film Ventures tried to call it Pause, and Universal lawyers talked them out of it.
Of course, you have to also mention the Italian film "The Last Shark," also known as Great White, which was such a copy of not only Jaws but Jaws 2 that I think Universal sued, right?
Universal sued, and Judge Wayne Bourne, it got put in a vault. But remember, when this movie came out, a surfer had just been eaten. I want to say it was Wayne Bourne. A surfer had just been eaten in December of 81, and Great White was making that part of their publicity push.
Oh my gosh.
You know, it could happen to you kind of thing.
Leave it to the Italians.
Wow.
There you go. From
And
the director of the original Inglourious Bastards, by the way.
Enzo Castellari, yeah. And,
Enzo
of course,
Castellari.
and of course, James Franciscus is Brody in that one, and Vic Morrow doing the weirdest accent ever as Quint, at the Quint character.
Oh, but you also have to mention the name of the sheriff Franciscus was playing was Peter Benton, because it sounded like Peter Benchley.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice, nice.
Wow.
Well, and then Piranha, all those
Of course.
Piranha
Right.
movies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which then
Piranha
if
is
you-
brilliant. It's written.
Yeah.
It's Joe Dante.
Great
by
movie.
the
love
way,
it, love it.
By the way, I did a thing where I interviewed Joe Dante and Belinda Blasky about that at the Rock and Shock Horror thing earlier this year. Universal was going to sue Piranha, but Spielberg saw it and liked it and told them to lay off.
Really?
Oh,
That's cool. Yeah, it's a great
And
movie.
then he hired
brought him,
Joe
of course, he
Dante
brought
for
him in
other.
for Gremlins and everything else. You know,
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Well, and then if you follow the lineage, you get to Piranha 3D, which then
Yes.
has, I don't know if it's credited. I don't think it's credited this way, but you get the return of Hooper.
Yes. Oh, and by the way, my friend Mark, who did props on Mighty Morphin, I'm blanking on his last name, but Mark doubled Hooper in that scene. That's Mark's hand when he's in the water going down. And if
Nice.
you look at the beer bottle, it's a shark, it's a Jaws homage on the beer bottle. Freeze frame it, because Mark put in like 4 Jaws jokes when you see it up close.
Ah,
But yeah, that's the
nice.
last appearance of Matt Hooper. You know,
I love that movie. I really do. I had a ton of fun
Mark
with that.
Richardson.
Yeah. And
Nice.
not only did I enjoy it, but one of the people that I was with when we were watching it, she burst into tears when a piranha pulled this person's skin entirely off their body. She burst into tears, and I went, well, this movie is working.
I saw it with J.J. Abrams and Elizabeth Shue. They
What?
showed us like a 40-minute version, and Elizabeth Shue whirled her head, and I had Adventures in Babysitting hair in my mouth for 8 seconds. I'm like, 'cause she jumped in her own 3D. And after it
lucky.
ended, they ran nothing but like a demo reel of 40 minutes or 14 minutes of it. And then J.J. Abrams stood up, looked at the projectionist, and said, "Run it again." So I got to sit there. J.J. Abrams on my left, Elizabeth Shue on my right. It's one of my
Wow.
favorite film viewing experiences.
Wow.
That is
Hey.
great.
Wow.
Nice.
Well, one thing that is worth mentioning now as we close is that we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Jaws. And not only because it's such a great movie with that kind of longevity and launched the career of, our most celebrated director, but it started the summer blockbuster. It started the blockbuster syndrome where, it changed the way the movies are advertised, marketed, released, and the studio expectations that go into them. And certainly, the sequels are also kind of a textbook, unfortunately, in the studio mentality of that. But it really has changed, not only like in the way that the movie was seen back when it was released and successful, in that, it made a lot of money. Yeah, it's a good movie, which is kind of a surprise and maybe an exception, but we're not going to take it too seriously because after all, it's just a monster movie.
Yeah.
Well, now in hindsight, one of the significant things about celebrating it now 50 years later is that mentality has changed really significantly.
Yeah.
Yes.
It began a chain reaction that completely changed the film industry, for better and for worse, but it's just really significant for that too. These movies are very often taken very seriously now and Oscar nominated.
Yeah. And its impact on pop culture is enormous. Everybody knows.
Boys, movie soundtracks, T-shirts, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. The theme
Merchandising.
music, like it's just ingrained in the world. It's
People
like,
talk a lot about Star Wars merchandising, and it's very true, but Jaws had merchandising first.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Jaws was the first,
And Jaws taught us a lesson, and Spielberg continued to teach us this lesson. And that was that a popcorn movie can be a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very, very salient point.
Well, Pat, I want to thank you so much for being with us tonight. This has been you know so much about Jaws.
This is amazing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Can you tell our listeners, is there anything you're working on, and also where can we get this Jaws book that you did?
Well, you can order it off Barnes & Noble. Jaws, just when you thought it was safe, a Jaws Companion can be ordered on Barnes & Noble or Amazon or Bear Manor or wherever good books are sold. And you can order it online. It'll be at your house tomorrow. I menaced the beautiful Courtney Stodden, and I think they're calling it a BET movie called Fatal Detour, where I'm a murderous mutant luring people to my mansion where I pick them off one by one.
Nice.
Oh,
Great.
I also do a super duper, if you're near a Barnes & Noble, in the current issue of Infinity Magazine, I do a really deep dive on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, including quotes from my interviews with Stan Lee. And of course, I do talk to the Amazing Friends and everybody else.
Nice.
And then you guys will love this. In the next issue of Dark Side, 10 pages on the Wishmaster franchise.
Nice.
And if I can complain, when you introduced me at the opening, you mentioned extra gigs before. I got my SAG card from David Lynch when I wrote a commercial for him with my brothers Don and Tom.
What?
You guys mentioned extra gigs. Mention the cool stuff I'm credited in. Chastity Bites, for one, is a great movie.
Wow. Nice.
Mention
Well,
the
you have an
credits,
incredible
stuff,
IMDb.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes. It's incredible. Yes.
Thank you.
You're everywhere, Pat.
And Pat, you're also great at parties.
Oh, thank you very much.
Because
Yeah, we have to
you know,
we have to hang again,
the
man.
truth
listen.
of the matter is, folks, you know, I've talked to Pat at parties and stuff, and Jaws is not his only thing that he can talk
Yeah,
about.
you're
Oh,
a-
you
you're
got
a-
you
You're
cover
a wealth,
Like one of
a
us, my
treasure
friend.
trove, and you know also somehow, I don't know how, but you somehow know this stuff off the top of your head, like you just know
Oh,
it.
thank you. Well, and I want to say thank you, especially since I got Sean right here, you guys. Sean and his wife Gina came up with pictures. When I did my Buck Rogers book, I couldn't find a clean shot of any Buck Rogers toys. I make a Hail Mary call to them. Gina picks up and she goes, "Oh, Sean is working with Eric Estrada, but give me a minute, I'll photograph all the toys."
Oh yeah, I was working on the surreal life.
Wow.
Where he was
All I
on. He
knew
was
is
Eric
that you got to
Estrada.
hang with Ponch, and your wife saved my
right.
book's ass.
That's right.
Great.
Yeah, the home of
Yeah, so
Twinkie.
it was an honor to have it contribute anything to that book. It's great. Yes, we have the whole
ass,
book.
and the Sheridan family can do no wrong in my book.
Thanks, man. You're the best, Pat.
Yeah, you are a
Thank you
cinematic
guys, Larry,
treasure.
James, all of you guys. I love you. Thanks for having me on.
Well, let's
Pat,
do a
I just
toast.
we want to give a toast. I want to raise our glass.
I'm
and
honored,
we want to
boys.
toast to you, Pat, and to the amazing
What is-
shark Jaws.
What are you drinking? What are you drinking, boys?
Agua.
Water, H2O. That's how we
sitting
roll
here
here.
like a sucker.
Narragansett beer.
Little
Vodka
Metamucil in there.
Yeah.
Hello, Metal Muscle. Thank you, old time monster heads. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Pat.
man.
Bye,
Cheers.
boys.
Time for a listener shout out.
Shout out. The revenge.
Sean, I think you got something for us.
I do. Yes, I have a shout out to a band that we all know and that we love, and a band that is a fan of Monster Party, and this is the band called The Frenzy of Tongs.
Oh, yeah.
We love them.
Tongs is a great.
We
punk-
worked with them.
That's right. This is a great punk band. I'm going to read to you how the Frenzy of Tongs describe themselves on their website. Turns out the Frenzy of Tongs are the bigger than fun punk rock circus from Providence, Rhode Island. Wildly chaotic, almost good rock and roll paladins, if you like that sort of thing. We've toured the world and elsewhere, and yet the tongue quest continues. These guys are awesome. Check them out. Check out their music. Their music is super energetic and great and cool.
Right up our alley.
And they have been listening to Monster Party for a while, and to the point where they actually asked us to contribute to one of their songs. The song is called "We'll Have a Monster Party," and in the chorus of the song, you can hear us saying, "We're going to have a monster party tonight."
Yeah. And no mistaking, you will hear us
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
on this You will be able to make us out individually. You'll go, oh, that's Sean. I know his
Deep baritone.
wonderful, his singing pipes.
And in a perfect world, we all would have been in studio with Frenzy of Tongues, but I'll be honest, we had to record it remotely. But still, it's
But
an honor
made
to be
it work.
on.
Yeah,
Yes.
they asked us to do it. We gladly did it. It was great. The songs are great. And so Brian from the band sent Monster Party a little gift package of several of their CDs, official Frenzy of Tongs T-shirts, stickers, and
Nice.
magnets, and they even a little 3D printed Monster Party logo on a stand that glows in the dark.
Holy shit!
And these guys are awesome. And Brian wrote a little note with it, and the note says, "Hey guys, enjoy, and thanks again for your contribution to our ahem music. There's an extra T-shirt in there for anyone you think might enjoy it. The glow in the dark logos are a result of me practicing creating 3D models. Thanks for all the podcasting fun, Brian." Brian, thanks so much. We love your music. We love you guys. And it's so generous to send us this great little care package. And we love it.
What a sweetheart.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. And again, if you guys, anybody listening, please check out The Frenzy of Tongs. Their music is really fun and super cool. And you'll love them.
Do it.
And I have a second shout out tonight. Once again, our good friend Jim Jenkins from San Diego.
Yes, Jim.
You know, on the last show, I mentioned that Jim and many of our other friends got to party with us after party at San Diego Comic-Con. But what I didn't mention was the gift that Jim made for us, for each of us, and brought. Now, Jim crafts these amazing paper structures. These characters that he makes out of scratch, out of paper. And it's amazing. It's like it starts with paper and glue and scissors, I guess, and then he makes statues out of them. And they're beautiful. Last time we saw him at Comic-Con, he had made me a teenage werewolf. Incredible. Incredibly talented. Well, this year he surprised us and touched us with the gift of, he gave each of us a paper Rondo Award. This is a gold bust. He made it from gold paper of Rondo Hatton. And, we might have not won the Rondo yet, but Jim wanted us to have one each.
This is a great placeholder until we get our official ones.
This is, to me, as much as an honor.
Yes.
You know what?
This comes from the heart.
It's a heightened honor because he actually went to the time and the trouble of making this from hand.
Yes.
And it's so touching. So, Jim,
thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you so much, Jim. It's a very, very meaningful, and we really appreciate it.
I can't wait to put mine in my living room with a spotlight on it. That's what I want to do.
See? Because he's class.
You got it.
You know, guys, it's always a pleasure to see Jim Jenkins. And another reason it's a pleasure to see him is because he's always wearing the Monster Party cap. He's representing, and we appreciate that so much. And he loves the show. He's a fan. And hey, if you're a listener and you love the show and you want to represent, well, there's no better way than Monster Party merch with the Monster Party baseball cap. We have Monster Party t-shirts with the glow-in-the-dark logo and the kaiju design by Derek Robertson. We have the Monster Party shot glass. We have the Monster Party PPE cloth mask. And where can you find these wondrous items, you may ask? Well, that's easy. It's on our eBay store, which is called Monster Party Store. Or if you go on eBay and just type in Monster Party Podcast, they will come up. And if you order Monster Party merch and happen to be a Patreon member, we will throw in free surprise goodies, courtesy of our good friends Jason Lindsay at Biff Bang Pow Toys and foam fabber extraordinaire Ted Haynes.
Two men who put the chum in chums.
Now, this Patreon thing. Okay. I mean, Jaws mania is gripping the nation, certainly gripped me. It's all that I'm thinking about lately. And I got to say, I don't have the bandwidth to remember what this Patreon thing is all about. Can you please refresh my memory?
Well, much like how Robert Shaw as Quint was swallowed whole by the shark in Jaws, Patreon swallows the whole of your attention by providing you with exclusive Monster Party content. Yes, I just said Patreon swallows. Now, By bonus content, we're talking content like our special audio episodes, shows like Monster Party Masterpieces, Monster Party on the Road, the mega popular Toy Time series. We all love
It's
that.
a big
right?
hit.
Yes,
Big hit.
always a good time. We also have our legendary Japan trip video diary, behind the scenes convention footage, and vintage sci-fi and horror fiction edited by our resident Scarian, John Bordeaux, and more.
Well, guys, I'm going to need a bigger budget because
nice, very well done.
Nice.
you know it was coming sooner or later, right?
Yes.
I got to say, I'm saving my pennies for the director's cut of Jaws: The Revenge bootleg, and I think it's going to be a pretty penny. So I don't know if I can afford this bounty. How much does it cost?
Okay, so for the price you would pay for an original shooting script of Jaws: The Revenge, you could become a Monster Party patron, and that price is $5. $5 a month.
What?
That's pretty amazing. I mean, you can't get an official Michael Caine Jaws the Revenge action figure for that price. in either version, either the wet shirt or the dry shirt.
They should, you know what? That should be an option, though.
Yeah, it should.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'm sold. How do I join?
Okay, so all you have to do is you go to patreon.com, you go to Monster Party, you click join, you follow the instructions, and next thing you know, you'll be as happy as Roy Scheider turning down Jaws 3D.
Time to remind our listeners that we are on social media. We are on Facebook and YouTube at Monster Party TV, Twitter at Monster Party HQ. We are also now on Blue Sky at Monster Party HQ and on Instagram at Monster Party HQ. And wherever you're listening to us, please take a moment, write us a review. We've had a lot of iTunes reviews lately, which has been awesome. Let's keep that going. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we will read them on the air.
And we won't just read your review, we'll use it to start a fight with Roy Scheider. On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I am Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Strothe.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong.
And celebrate the Jaws phenomenon.
And now, let's go party at Dennis Quaid's house.
Yeah. Woo.
We're doing monkeys in horror and sci-fi.
Yeah, I thought that.
not
I thought
sharks.
Sean said monkeys.
This is our big
Don't
King
you
Kong
remember?
episode.
Yeah, I thought we were
Yeah,
doing
did
it
you
all.
forget?
Chakma.
You slipped.
Oh my God. Oh man. Wait a minute.
Wait a
If it's
second.
monkeys, why
You're pulling my fin.
you are pulling my fin because James is wearing a giant Jaws shirt.
Yeah, but he was just being ironic.
No. Do you really think James would actually put a Jaws shirt on for the King Kong episode? I don't
No,
know.
this is for the famous Monsters cover of Jaws versus Kong.
Which they did
see?
in Ape.
It was Ape. It was
yeah.
Ape. It wasn't Kong. Get it right.
See, he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know any of the.
But on the
things we talk about.
poster,
How
on
do you
the
expect him
poster
to
for
write?
Ape,
How do you
in the
expect him to wear
poster-
the right T-shirt?
on the poster for Ape, if you remember, it said not to be confused with King Kong.
Yeah. Yes.
I was just confused. It's a simple mistake.
See, it can happen to anyone.
Hey,
Yeah,
so
this-
I like what you guys suggest about the title. So it's going to be Jaws: 50 Years of Fright and Bite. Is that good?
Yeah, fine with me.
I think that's good, right?
Fright and
Whoa.
bite seems a little long.
Whoa.
What's the matter?
Well,
Nothing. I
50
thought that was fine. And
50 years of Fright and Bite. Jaws, 50 years of Fright and Bite.
Fright
Right?
and bite. You
you
don't
have the
and you
word
think
Jaws
that's
in front of it.
that's not.
Okay.
We have way long. We've had way longer titles than that.
all right? Then I'm in.
Okay, I mean, I think that works. It's good. I like
I
like
love it.
using, like you said,
I now
using
love
50 years is good.
I was
Okay.
almost going to suggest, I used to hate the water, 50 years of Jaws.
Well, I don't know.
No, that's why I didn't go there.
Okay. Tonight's topic is phobias.
Dreyfus is a wimp.
Oh,
Ooh.
That's what he
see,
said.
if we ever do Jaws cosplay, Matt, you got to be Quint.
I have a shark costume.
It's coming
which
together.
is not
Here we go.
quite. Yeah, you could be Bruce.
I'll be
Yeah.
Mrs. Brody.
I'll be who's the woman who slaps
Yeah.
Brody?
Kinter, Mrs. Kinter.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Just-
not funny.
You just come in and slaps them and then walk away.
Yeah, we'll just walk around
Ooh.
Comic-Con slapping people.
Sean, you be Brody, and I'll be Hooper, and we're done. Done deal.
There you go.
All right.
And then, and Matt can be Quint, and I can be the shark. Yeah. You know,
I'll be
this is
li-
a very old shark, by the way.
That's cool looking though.
He's a
I think I had
classic.
that.
But what if I get the message wrong and I show up wearing an outfit from The Sting?
Right.
And you walk with a limp? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Or even worse, if you outfit from The Sting 2 as Mac Davis.
I've always wanted to cosplay as Mac Davis.
It's hard to be humble.
Who the fuck
Was
would
that
live
North
that?
Dallas
You know-
40? Isn't that
You know,
him?
Sean, I have not seen The Sting 2.
No, near have I. Just
Because
like,
I
what
heard
the
it was
hell?
dreadful. I heard it was dreadful. I
Yeah,
remember,
of course.
not like Jaws 2, man. I was there. I was
I
there.
was there.
David? I was there. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
It's funny how watching these movies again has made me sort of kind of teeny appreciate certain ones a little bit more
A little
Uh-huh.
bit, but
and
But
other
man,
ones less.
like,
But they're all
it's like-
kind of swirling around the same drain. let's just say.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll have to check
Oh, it
his,
squeaks too.
his audio, too.
This is a different one.
Is that
and
from
it-
4? They tried to
This-
make him roar and
yes, this is the roaring. But listen to our ferocious.
The dolphin.
Is that a dog toy?
No, you don't give this to a dog to chew on. It's
Well,
a
it
special-
could be a dog toy because it squeaks.
Oh, that's
They tend to
terrible.
squeak.
Just
Am I
throw a
wrong?
vintage-
Am I wrong?
Well,
Dog
you would
toys
throw-
don't squeak.
Yes, dog toys squeak, but
So that
also
could be a dog toy.
didn't you have toys that squeaked? It was a human toy,
No, well, not something that doesn't squeak.
like a hand puppet that went something like that. And
Not a
don't you-
shark.
well, they were trying to make
What a
it give it
shitty
that-
toy.
Look at it though. It's vicious. Ah.
And then see, it thinks we're doing the monkey episode.
I'm Jaws 4. Ah.
Did you? By the way, did you guys? We'll save this for the thing, but you guys, of course, recognize that roar, right?
Yeah, I do. It's like a
I-
class. It's like a. It's been
a
around for a long
cartoon.
time. I think it's been used for many things, but
It's
the Wilhelms
It's
No.
Spot.
it's Spot. Yes,
It's Spot from
Spot.
the Munsters.
from the Munsters, man.
But I think it's from even earlier than that. I think
think
they.
it might
Well,
be from
yeah,
the
right. It's a
It was
already
library
a-
sound effect.
Yeah, right.
Isn't
Like
that
that one.
pathetic? Isn't that
Yes,
pathetic?
it is.
Really?
We agree, Larry.
Really?
That is
Re-
some sad
really?
fucking shit
you
right
know,
there.
It's like how much money are you spending on this film? And when it comes to this crucial moment, let's not make something new for the fans. Let's just no one will notice. We'll just get this little cartoon sound. I mean, really, and stuff like that. That any kind of hope that you have that
yeah.
maybe they're gonna pull it out at the end. Maybe the slog is you're gonna get to this point and then it
No,
happens
because at
so
that point they knew nobody was going to give a shit. It was crap. Nobody was going to care.
Yeah.
The roar was the least of their worries by that point.
Yeah.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. And then also somebody, point out too that like sharks don't float. So the idea
or
that they're gonna-
stand up vertically in the water.
yeah, right. And get up in the water like they're getting out of a chair that's floating.
So
All
if
right.
you were to say, "Oh, that John Landis is a real dick," oh, I shouldn't have said that. We'll stop. We'll go, boy, John Landis is really great. I'm just saying.
You know what? I gotta say, he talked to me about working on Jaws. He went to the set of Jaws to
Really?
Yeah, he was up for Close Encounters. So
Wow.
Close
Wow.
Encounters you guys, he was on set and he said he sat around for weeks because he never got to Spielberg.
As
he
a
was
PA,
there. Yeah, no, he was there to meet with him for Operation Blue Book, which was the original title of Close Encounters.
Ah.
And so Landis actually wound up rigging the dock when the two bums are trying to catch the shark with the holiday roast.
Really?
Landis
Wow.
helped rig that up. See, it's in the book.
Jeez, man.
Wow.
Awesome.
I don't want to
right.
sound like a Scientologist, but it's in the book.
And
All
we
right.
want to make sure that people know about that book.
Yes. we
And
will.
Scientology.
And
Yes.
not one last thing, if all of a sudden you gotta, hey guys, I gotta run to the restroom, or that's fine, we'll stop, we'll take a quick break and come back if need be.
I peed before like a trained professional thought.
Well,
I'm not
we're all
uncouth.
yes, I know, but we're all older now, things happen.
That's true.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Touche, boys.
I go every 10 minutes, so I've got a tube that goes to the toilet. Everything's fine.
All right.
Alrighty. Well, that's enough horror for you. Okay.